I want to apologize to my viewers. I had told people I was going to get on live last night, and a very unique situation occurred where I could not. I don't remember what time it was, but sometime midday, the phone service went down, and it was going on. So I went over to the Verizon store, drove over there, and as I got out of my truck with my phone in the hand, a woman come out of the store, got in her vehicle, and she goes, "You hear about your phone service?" I said, "Yeah." She goes, "It's down." The parking lot was full of people. And what is really weird is it only hit a certain area of Augusta. No phone service, couldn't call, couldn't do nothing. I'm like, well, this is going to be a fun evening. Can't do videos, can't do nothing. So I apologize for not being there last night. I had no phone service. It was on SOS mode. And I went downtown and it still didn't come on. So I went downtown and I took a walk on the Savannah River. And I wore this, exactly what I have on. I want to talk about it. I wore this. I had my phone clipped to my side and I just walked. People everywhere. Nobody laughed. Nobody jeered. I had my rings and bracelets on. Nobody stared unusually. And I noticed something. Because I'm not talking. I don't know what they thought, but I got no hostility. None. I'd stop and take a selfie. "Hey, Gerald, how are you?" And I actually enjoyed the evening. I stopped by a business to make a purchase. There's a woman at the counter that I think is very attractive. She's very unique looking. And I spoke to her. There was nobody else in the store. She goes, "How are you?" I said, "I'm good." I said, "I had to come in and buy my book, and I had to come in and see you." And she had on a beautiful shirt, and I commented on that. She's a very pretty lady, younger than me, Caucasian, and she stands out. And she had asked me, "So what do you got going this evening?" I said, "I'm going to take a walk." I said, "I need to get out of the house." And I said, "And you got to walk before dark around here because there's too many screwballs." And she goes, "Yeah." She goes, "And sadly, it's the young people that are doing all that." I said, "Yep." I said, "I don't drink." I said, "I hang out next door and there's just nothing going on there. And it's the same old depressing stuff." And, I don't have the guts to ask somebody out anymore because I figured they're just going to say no. Hello, Holly. But I would date her in a minute. Guess I got to feel the waters more and buy some more books. But I've noticed her from day one. I don't, the world is so different. I don't even know if she has a boyfriend, a girlfriend, or what. This morning, I was itching to get on live. But something was bothering me. And the superintendent that wrote that nasty termination letter, I orally dictated a very long email response. I was not rude, but I was firm. Talked to her about my experiences at my job, the behavior that went on at my job, the behavior of the students on the buses, the stuff that the drivers got to go through. Talked about my 3-minute video and the false accusations she made. I said, as somebody who heads up a public education system, please look up the word viral. My 3-minute video did not go viral, ma'am. I believe that starts at 1 million. I said I did a live over a week ago that netted 47,000 views. That short did not get anywhere near that. Maybe 1,000, if that. I said your termination letter was a character assassination. You didn't investigate the following things. You didn't investigate a teacher that is employed in your system that lived with me for 15 months. She knows I'm not racist. And I said, you are virtue signaling. And that was said by my friend in New England. I didn't come up with that. I'm like, I don't even use that word or that term. And she was. I said, none of this is going to make any difference. You've done what you've done. But I said, as a professional, you should have been taught by your mom and dad, and at least in your education background, not to lie. I said, that's not okay. I named specifically people at work that had violated rules and still have a job there. And they violated rules where they should have been fired immediately. I said, you head up one of the worst education systems I've ever worked for. You allow these students to get away with murder. You allow these students to throw the N-word around on the buses all day. Coworkers at my job all day. You don't do anything about that. I don't use the N-word and you call me a racist. And I just systematically, several pages. I said, I don't believe this will make any difference, but for me it is venting, and I'm not a threat or a danger to you or anybody else. I said, painting a picture that I'm a racist, offensive monster is not okay. I said, that's not the definition of professional. I said, I watched the video again and I sent copies of your letter and I sent copies of that video through my phone to many people across the country. Nobody agrees with you, including a former school superintendent of transportation at Denver. You know, it sucks when you have no power to effectively change something. But anyways, I couldn't get on last night because not the internet, but the phone, Verizon, was down. I don't know what was going on. Very strange. And I got mad. I said, wow, you know, Verizon, you better get it together. Because everybody flooded into that store going, hey, why is my phone not working? But I took some awesome pictures last night. I'm going to share them with you. I did an experiment. I went down there in this. No one guffawed, laughed. I walked like I walk. I just took some pictures of me, various spots of downtown along the Savannah. And I enjoyed myself. When you go through stuff like this, you tend to think that everybody in the world is against you. And I have to realize, no, just some, not all. I love this one. That's an apartment building. It says, Augusta, I love you, painted at the base of that building. You can see the people when they got their blinds open. Those are big, spacious rooms in that interesting building. Really, Z, there's women getting on YouTube with videos. You think it's their channel. They're messaging me to go private. I'm like, block. Boy, they get creative to do their prostitution. And I just started saying to these women, why should I pay you to show your body? You should pay me. I'm an equal opportunity employer. You should pay me to take my clothes off. Why should I pay you? And I mean that. Why do we guys, I don't pay for that. I never have. I don't pay for porn. I don't go to a cabaret and pay to see somebody drop their top. I won't. I shouldn't have to pay for that. I'm sorry, but I live in a society where there's plenty of women that'll just do it whether I ask or not. I can't tell you how many people that if I just go along about my world, there will be some woman somewhere that will want me to see her tots. And I don't even have to ask for it. Pay for that. Ridiculous. I'm worth something too, but men don't get paid to show their bodies. It's crazy. It really is a weird dichotomy. I love that old water tower on that old building. I wonder whatever happens when it gets rusty and the supports give way and that comes crashing through the roof. I kind of doubt there's water in it. I actually seen videos on YouTube where they drop those towers when they're not on a building. There was one, the thing toppled and the thing fell on its roof. And when it hit the ground so hard that it went boom, out the back end. All this rust shot out like it farted. So funny. Chance, I couldn't get here last night. The phone service went out for Verizon customers in this area of town. I even went to the Verizon store in the middle of the day. A woman was supposed to meet me to pick up. I sold a pie safe. Oh, I got to pull that off too. Sold a pie safe and I thought, great, she can't message me. But she showed up, bought it, transaction done. Hey, the steak, how are you? I love the Savannah River. I'll tell you, that's just nice scenery. I just took pictures and did a walk. I just did a walk. It was fun. Love this. I deliberately worked hard to get that just right. It's on the bridge all over to Savannah and the sun was setting and I just thought, wow, love that one. There were other people too, with tripods out taking pictures of each other with the sunrise. It is, Chance. Thank you, Stig. I like it. And I was telling everybody, I went in this. Just walking by myself. I wasn't on video. No one laughed. No one gawked. Where am I from? Los Angeles originally. Love this one. This is on that bridge. When you get to the South Carolina side, the vegetation under that bridge is absolute jungle thick. I would not walk down there at all. The snakes, the critters, the bugs. I cannot believe one of the things that fascinates me about America, east of the Mississippi is green, green, green. West of the Mississippi, it's dried up. And it's a phenomenon that people who grow up out west, when they see pictures, oh my gosh, it's so green out there. I mean, you go to Denver, you go across Colorado from the eastern side, it's ugly as all get out. It's just scrub. It's just, who wants to live out here? You get further into Nebraska, actually, which is west of the Mississippi, you get further into Nebraska and you start to see things change. You feel the humidity rate when you get closer. What river is it runs through Omaha? Is that the Red River? I can't remember what river it is. You start feeling humidity. And it is interesting. East of the Mississippi is much greener. It really is. It was nice. Nobody bothered me. Nobody bothered me at all. This is down by the boat launch. That's looking straight towards the Atlantic behind me. If you go all the way down, you'll end up in Savannah. See, if I had money, I'd want to do that. Forget driving. Give me a boat ride down the river to Savannah. That would be awesome. Absolute fun. And there's me over the amphitheater on the river. Those homes over there are probably $1 million homes in South Carolina. Big, giant, boxy things with their own private boat dock. But I just had fun doing simple. Love that one. It was very near the Marriott. And sometimes I just like to take photos. This is right downtown. I like perspective shots. This isn't like Chicago where you got dramatic skyscrapers, but it was a good walk. And I struggled with the demons again. Went home, I went to bed early, and I tossed and turned for a good hour. And then all of a sudden, my phone blows up, and the dang Discord is ringing the heck out of my phone. And all these text messages flood in because the service returned. And I picked it up and looked, turned the volume all the way down, and turned to one side and turned to the other, and finally drifted off to sleep. The ideal state. Hello, Nikki. Thank you. And hello, Eddie and Sharon. Good morning. Sorry I wasn't here last night. No phone service from about midday yesterday until nearly 11. I don't know what was going on, but it wasn't just me. I went to the Verizon store and people were pouring into the parking lot wondering the same thing, and they said the network is down. The ideal state or location I'd rather live in. I don't know. Is there such a thing as ideal in today's 2025? Every place got its issues. Every place. And what is a good place to live? You know, I grew up in California. I wouldn't live there. I can't even afford it. Gavin Newsom is the head of that state. I don't want to be in a state that votes in that kind of crazy leadership. Upstate New York is beautiful, but I don't want to be in a state that votes in Hochul. Michigan is beautiful, but I don't want to live in a state that votes in Whitmer. Illinois? No way. Missouri? No. Kansas? No. I like the beauty of some of the western states, but I like the green. I don't like a dried up stick. I wish I was free to just go where I wanted. I want to see Zambia. I would like to see my friend in Thailand. I've been to the Philippines twice. I've been to Japan once. Japan's expensive. I mean, Japan's cool, but it's expensive. I really have no desire to go there and do what? Spend a ton of money on a trip? Doing what? And when you get older, at least when I get older, it's like, I want to go somewhere that's raw, exotic, and unique. I don't want to go to Tokyo with skyscrapers where it's, $80 for a meal. I'm being facetious, but why go to a place where you spend all this money, take a bunch of pictures in front of a, lit up skyscraper village? Not my thing. To go to a unique village? Japan is awesome. But I'd rather go to the, I was in Pendleton, Oregon for a night. That's a trip of a town. You're driving across the yellow prairie grass. You go up through some small mountains, it gets cool, and you come back down into the hot. Pendleton sits in a hollow. Remember, they had an old-fashioned ice cream store downtown back in '96 when I went through there. I like Montana, but when I think of me and fitting in with people, I don't see it happening. True acceptance and feeling like I belong, I haven't had that anywhere. I haven't had that anywhere. When you're a kid, you live under the expectations of your parents. I certainly wasn't doing this style back then. Yeah, that's a good question, Stig. Not to the weird, whacked out thinking of what I see, no. Eddie, thank you. I like to do that. I don't know where it is safe anymore. Absolutely. Yes, one thing I like about Japanese culture is they know how to behave themselves. When I rode from the Nogo Narita airport to the Nogo Narita hotel, we went past hangars and airplane stuff. And the bus driver was a very good driver, dressed impeccably. I noticed people use their turn signals and went the speed limit. There was none of that crazy, stupid crap you see on the roads here. The problem with America is we've got freedom and people abuse it. In Japan, you abuse it, you're going to pay a price. And I notice Japan know how to act. You don't see them acting up in public. You don't see them. What you see is videos of people from America acting stupid over there. Embarrassing. Japan is a high-class culture. I'm okay with it, but it's still a little intimidating. You know, every time I go out there, I'm expecting somebody to hurl some remark or give me trouble. They didn't, black or white. Now, there was one thing that happened. There was a white couple. I'd come off the bridge that goes over the river. It's a park. Came down the sidewalk, and there's a tree that's all pushed over the sidewalk. And I went to go around the tree and zeroed back into the right. And the woman looked like she was pregnant, much taller than me, her and her husband. And, you know, we had room away from each other, and she walked, but we were close. And right when she got to me, she went, I don't know if that was just a cough or she was making a statement. I didn't turn around. I just kept marching. That was the only thing. But when I was on the bridge, kids, families, now I'd see some guys kind of looking, you know, not with hostility, but I've learned something that works for me. You're going to laugh, but I call it being on the ship mentality. When you're on the bridge of an ocean liner, the old world ocean liner, where when you're on like the Queen Mary, I stood up on the bridge, Long Beach, and you got that long bow that juts out, and you see the capstans and the windlass with the anchor chains, and the cargo hold area, and the railings. I love looking out on that. I'm like, look at how much you're up here, and you're looking out on 150 feet of bow, more than that. And it's just massive. And when I get out there in public and I feel uneasy, my mind thinks, when you're nervous and you're not sure about the people, pretend you're on the bridge of the ship. You're not looking at everybody. You're looking out beyond the bow. And I look through people. I look at the picture. I'm pretending I'm navigating 1,000-foot, 15-story high ship. I'm not worried about all these little boats. I walk the direction I'm looking. And sometimes that's my defense mechanism. And people, they pick up on that. I'm not walking nervous. I'm not walking with an attitude. I'm just not acknowledging them. I notice that. And that works. When you're walking with a purpose and you're walking, you see them, but you're confidently looking ahead and not making eye contact with them. I am making eye contact. My peripheral's really outstanding. But they don't see me zeroing in. It works. It's effective. Yeah. Introverted. I never thought about that. Hello, Chad. Chad, I do not identify as a female. I just like to dress the way I dress. And I hope we don't have to go through this every time I do a stream, but they may have well thought I was a female last night. And if they thought I was a female is going to get less harassment than a guy is. And if that's the case, then I need to keep doing this because I can walk and be left alone. And maybe they did think I was female. I'm not talking. I'm walking. And that's okay. If that's what it takes to be left alone. Oh, Laura, you like that? Let me get this. Get this off for a minute. Yeah, this thing's funny. I bought it at the flea market. Some little girl come up tugging my pants or shorts. Can you buy something from my table? I'm not selling anything and I need to make money. I'm like, kid stuff? And I walked over there and the only thing I saw is I thought, shoot, I'm on YouTube. Everybody needs a troll. I said, how much? Just $1. $1 for a troll. I bought it. If she'd had more, I would have cleaned them out. Be fun to put a little shelf with all these trolls on it. Do you, Laura? Well, yeah, you got a little girl trying to be an entrepreneur. You want to support her. Then when I went there yesterday, there was a kid with very short hair. His name was Manuel. I was visiting my friend. I don't know whose kid he was, but I'm talking to her, and he comes up, and he looks at me like Gary Coleman. He goes, I'm in charge of this table. And I said, oh, you are, huh? Yes, I'm in charge. I said, are you the boss? No, I'm just in charge. Everything on this table's $1. Everything on that table's $2. I said, are you sure about that? And then he said, are you a girl? I said, do I sound like a girl? And I didn't have this on. And the lady turned around and she goes, remember what I told you today about appropriate conversation? You don't come up and say, you're fat. You don't come up to him and say, that is a man. Well, he looks like a girl. And she says, but you don't need to say that. I started laughing. I said, no, I'm not a girl. And he jumped back, started laughing. And then the kid would not leave me alone. I said, I need to go because now he thinks he has a playmate. And she goes, actually, I was glad you were here. He's driving me nuts. I said, whose kid is he? It's theirs over there. I said, oh, man. People are not afraid of Michael. That's a good one, Sharon. A stupid head. What? Why did you name yourself Stupid Head? That's funny. I love some of these ideas. I love Trailer Park. That's funny. How are you doing, Trailer? Then suddenly, she said, could you walk this couple down to my trailer over there and tell the lady to get her some of these containers? Well, I walked them down there and I ended up going in the trailer and moving everything out of the back so I get to the front just to find containers that she's out of. And I'm like, wow. I said, see, every time I see her get put into employ, I said, why don't you just hire me? I'll do the flea mart circuit with you. She goes, hey. She said, you could use me as a reference. I said, well, I've known you for a year. She can say, but you worked for me today. I said, no, I'm not going to say I worked for you for 6 years. She goes, why not? I said, no, can't do that. But I appreciated the vote of confidence. Trailer, you have a good day. I'm going to church too, and that's a ways off yet. What I need to do is get you on Discord, and I can give you PayPal. I can't put my phone number and email out here because of the troll. It really makes me mad. PayPal needs to come up with a more safer way for people to donate. Black Deck, I don't twerk. I do not do that. That's not my thing. What am I wearing? Clothing. When you have time, check out Andre Bustamante's Differences Between Perception. You will not be bothered by anyone ever again. What do you mean by that, Eddie? Does that mean I got to change my way and my style? Or is it the way... Maxie, I don't recall that. I got to get in there. Yeah, it's a man's shirt. I cut the bottom of a long shirt off. I tied it in a knot, and I just made my own top out of it. Nothing special. Devious, I don't know. I passed background checks all my life, so does that make me a predator? Why would you ask that? Are you projecting what you are? Why would you ask that? That's not even a valid question. Asking if somebody's a predator. You think I'd be free here talking on YouTube if I was a predator? I think I'd be in the bars, man. Jail bars. Why are we asking personal questions? We don't answer that stuff, John. That's nobody's business. No, Ava, that has to be decided by my inner cabinet. We stopped just throwing people on moderation because they were kicking people out that weren't doing anything, and we don't want that. Anyways, back to the photos. I like to take a walk, and I haven't done it much because my neighborhood, there's no sidewalks. The traffic, there's been 5 fatalities since I bought my house within 2 blocks of my house. 5. People just flat hit and ran over. The speed limit on the highway is 45. The local clowns are doing about 70. And it's black, it's dark, you can't see at night. There is no sidewalk. The road comes up to a strip of grass that big, and there's a big, deep culvert. And the street lights are facing the businesses, not the street. You know, when I came from downtown last night, I was like, you know what? I'm not even going 45. I'm going 35. If somebody's walking on the edge, you cannot see them until you're right on top of them. When I was driving to work, somebody'd be wearing all black with their back against traffic in the lane of traffic. I'm like, oh my gosh, this person's got a death wish. Folks, a little easy reminder. If you're going to walk in traffic, walk against traffic, have a safety reflective vest on or a flashlight on you, something. And do not walk in a traffic lane in Georgia. You will get mowed down. A woman got hit. I was going down to the club a couple years ago. I turned onto the highway. I saw the ambulance. I saw vehicles blocked off the southbound side, and I saw a body in the middle. I'm like, oh gosh. And it was a woman. She was killed. Yeah. My neighbor talked to me about it. I said, that highway is so damn dangerous. And it's a straightaway. But they don't follow the speed limit. You know, there's a saying, don't drive beyond the range of your headlights. Right now, I'm unemployed, Chad. I was fired from my job for talking about an issue of what happened in Cincinnati on a 3-minute video. That's never happened to me in my life. So, looking for work. I can carry if I have a permit for a bikini. Now that's a new one. Right, the way it works with politicians is their daughter or relative has to get killed in traffic before changes are instituted or implemented. That's a fact. If a politician or a big shot gets killed, then they'll have all the construction. They'll have sidewalks and street lights and reflective paint. Georgia needs to get a clue on reflective traffic striping. When it rains here, you cannot see the traffic lines. When I was in Alabama in 2015, oh my gosh, the interstates lit up. That white and the orange reflective is like, I loved it. Georgia is, and even the locals say I don't like to drive. I will not drive at night long distance. There's too much deer. You can't see the roadway. And if it rains, it's way worse. Schmitty, how are you? It is. I did a gig the other day for $20 an hour doing yard work for somebody. Day one was awesome. Day two, she was crabbing at me and her husband and the trash men and fussing about the neighbors. And welcome to the wonderful world of dealing with PMS. I'm glad I'm only doing this for 2 days because I'm about to tell her, hey, how about if you pay me out and we just call it a day? But I pushed through because I wanted that extra cash. Trump a master at that, and everyone just sits there and lets him do it. Do what? And what does this have to do with the stream? Zero. Have I been in fistfights? No. Oh, yeah, don't you love that? Trailer, you are absolutely right. The roads in Georgia in the day, cool. But I noticed something here. There's no dang sidewalks most of this city. I never heard of that. Out west, you got sidewalks, you got shoulders. Even in Colorado, you got more room on a mountain road to walk on the side than you do here on a big highway. I mean, figure that out. I'd rather walk up a mountain road and hairpin turns in Colorado. At least I can get safely off the road. Here, shoot. Hey, Section 8, how are you? People are asking, why are you wearing because he likes it? That's it. Is it wrong for me as a man to create my own style? No. Does it automatically mean I'm trans or gay? No. I don't, I'm so tired of defending it. I just do it because I like it. And I got rid of all the girly stuff. But then I start thinking, shoot, what if I want a spaghetti straps top that looks on me? I'm starting to realize, even me, you have to balance. I'm not going to go to the job like this. I'm not going to go to church like this, okay? Somebody invites me to a funeral. I just do this on my time. And what has happened after living here is I finally learned to grow a pair and say, I want to try something just because. And that's it. No, I'm not Caitlyn Jenner devious. I don't even look like that. Not even close. And I'm happy, 59 years old. I'm sorry, I have confidence in my looks. I didn't used to, but I'm like, I don't look like a dog. I'm happy with my body. I'm happy with my looks. And I like to flaunt it just a little bit. And men don't get to be allowed to do that. And I don't like most men wear the Hurley wear and the Oakley and all the weird stuff, Hilfiger. That's not my style. And I've learned something. We are a copycat culture. Why can't I just do something that fits me? I have women come up and tell me, Mike, you actually rock that well. It works. And men, can I challenge you men that got a problem with it? If you're worried about me being gay, you might want to ask yourself a question. Why are you checking and or commenting on my fashion hairstyle? I don't go on any man's YouTube and talk about what they're wearing or their style. I don't. I'm into women. And I've noticed something. Men feel the need to tell me what's right or wrong. Why do you care so much? Are you struggling with gay issues? I don't care what somebody else is doing on their channel. Unless they're doing something outlandish and lying. If they want to look like a girl, and I don't look like a girl. Listen to my voice, people. I don't know too many women personally that sound like this. I've got more collective balls than most guys in our culture to get on here, to put myself out here. I had 47,000 views on a live Saturday night a week ago. People are listening. And they just trip over dumb stuff. Some, not all. Marty Friedman was the best guitar. And you're not a deluded. Thank you, Derek. Yeah, you got that right. I'm not woke at all. I'm awake, but I'm not woke. and I'm going to say something. I'm going to go further. Since you mention it, a lot of these guys that are truly gay, I don't think they're handsome. Okay? I'm not into dudes like that. But a lot of gay guys give me the creeps. They're just, a lot of them are a little off. So, no, I'm not into that. And it's how you carry yourself. But watch this. A woman can get on a YouTube video dressed just like this, my same physique. Not one of you guys will say a word about that. Well, because she's a girl. No, I'm not buying that. Because you're lusting after her. But when you see me doing it, you got a problem. So my channel actually has content. But you got these slut teases all over the internet. Slut teases. I mean, Reels, TikTok, Facebook, this is full of that. And even I know the math. If you're going with glopped on glossy lipstick and a top like this, there's 37,000 likes. And all these, oh my gosh, you're so fine, you're so this. Simps, pigs at the trough, hoping they get dinner at the Y, and they ain't. That's pathetic. At least I have content. At least I make things interesting. And sometimes I do this because I like it, but I also do it because I know people are going to go, what the heck? And they'll click. Am I being a little clickbait? Perhaps. Is it wrong? I don't believe so. It's harmless. I'm not a threat to society, but the truth is. And I like to bust stereotypes. I like to do it all the time. What are you saying? It's just perversion. Not sure what you're saying because you asked that like a question, but I'm not sure what you're asking. Am I perverted? No. I have lust in me like any grown man. I lusted after the woman at the bookstore last night because I think she's hot. But hey, what can I say? That's normal biology. Not a threat to society, but what is defo for the local community? So what do you mean by that? How am I a threat to the local community? You want to elaborate on that, Ribby? Because you're full of poo. Look at this, guys. Here we are in a stream and we've come back to this. We're going to start kicking people out. So we're going to just start slamming them to the walls. Bye-bye. Ribby's out. Anybody else? Anybody else want to be kicked out of the room? Raise your hand. Good morning, Vox. How are you? And I did. I burned a lot of the women's clothes, all the women's clothes. Yes, I do, Riot. I burned a lot of the feminine stuff in the burn barrel, but I started going, you know what? Wait a minute. This isn't feminine. It's a male t-shirt. I've got quite a few of them. This one. Now, this is a camisole that women wear. They were cheap, $2.88. I don't buy Kentucky t-shirts or wife beaters. I don't like them. They're ugly. This has straps. So what? You know, and people will make comments about that. Sometimes I wear a nice shirt. Sometimes I don't. I want to get people to think. Metallica, it depends. That's good, Vox. My neighbors aren't freaked out. I live in a hood, dude. Nobody cares. People are shooting guns over here. Nobody gives a crap about how I'm dressed. They don't bother me. You didn't get muted. Trailer, you haven't done anything wrong. You know, cultural wear is expensive. Fade is good. I like rats round and round out on the street. That's where we meet. Factalica. You know, Dawkins was good. Some Def Leppard, the Scorpions. You know, I was not a true metalhead. I mean, I dabbled on the edges of it. I was a hairband guy. I was into Duran Duran. I was into a mishmash. I loved ELO. Even when ELO had gone into the background in the 80s, I was still playing my double album set. Factalica. Derek. My cousin down in LA was such a critic of everything. He liked punk. And he would criticize Motorhead and stuff. Motorhead like sniffing bicycle seats. I mean, he'd say the dumbest things. And really, music boils down to our opinion. Now, I will say this. Look, Ozzy! Come on, feel the noise. Girls, rock the voice. I'm gonna get wild, wild, wild. Wild, wild. Yeah. Crazy Train. That was a good song by Ozzy. But I'll tell you what. Those people that questioned me and my dress, did y'all question him biting the head of a bat off? Now that, come on. That was dangerous. He had to go get a 6-inch needle through his gut. What was he doing? I mean, seriously, man. Why? Sunset over the Savannah River. I love that shot. Somebody said that. No, Riot was only known for Come On, Feel the Noise, if I recall. That's right, Schmitty. Trailer, you still here? I don't understand how you got muted. Unless somebody muted you, I didn't. Mr. Tinker Train. Oh, my bad. I didn't realize there was two different groups. Hello, Larashia. How are you? Larashia is my woman stepping into the room, fulfilling the role. Trailer, did he bow out? Where is he? Mr. Tinker Train is about messing with kids. I'm not familiar with that. Bon Jovi, Guns N' Roses, good stuff there. Love the song. The Filipinos like the song Bed of Roses. Oh my gosh, they love that song. You guys realize a lot of American music has made its way over to the Philippines and they've embraced it? Wide open arms. This is a stupid package. Can't even get this open. Dumb. Wow, and it did it worse. This is retarded. I cannot even get this open. Usually I can bite it and rip it down the middle, but no, this has got to be constipated, convoluted, and ridiculous. 10 minutes later, I get this itty-bitty piece of candy out. Packaging sucks. In My Dreams by Dawkins is one of my favorites. I burned the girl stuff, but not the bottoms of my t-shirts that I cut off. I've never heard of cancer slug. Thank you, Eddie, and thanks for subbing. You have a good day. Am I eating drugs? That makes sense, Ellen. No, I don't do drugs. It's a ginger candy. I burned the girly stuff because I was getting too much flack. But I always allow time to dictate. As time went on, I'm like, you know what? I like wearing some things. Why? I think there's a limit for what I should do. Report that candy packaging. Yeah, Holly Dawkins was good. And Larry Shea, I hope I don't let you down. But I went for a walk last night. The phone service was out for Verizon down here in this area. I'm like, I'm not going to sit in the house. I'm going to go for a walk. All I did was walk through the club 2 times, on the way downtown and on the way out. So dead in there. The bartender who used to be so nice and friendly, she's jaded and callous. She dated a loser, and now she's got an attitude. I don't even speak to her anymore. I mean, she was always so nice, and now she just... These women, they make a choice to date a screwball man, and then they just take it out on the rest of us. So dumb. Romper one pieces. I'm not familiar with those. A Slayer onesie. I didn't. But at the same time, I thought, okay, if I feel like doing this, and it's not all the time, and I didn't go into an area where that exists, chance. You know, I walked on the Riverwalk, John Q. Public's out there. There is an area, if you go down by the amphitheater, down the steps, down towards the river, you go down that walk, I found out real quick years ago, that's a gay cruisy site. I don't go down there. I don't want to be bothered with that. I had a African-American guy come up to me one night. I was not dressed like this. I was leaning out on the rail looking at the river, and he come up, hey, how you doing? I said, good, how are you? And it didn't take me but a few minutes to know he had designs on me. I said, "Nah, man." I said, "I'm not into that." "You're not? What are you doing down here?" I said, "What am I doing down here? It's a river walk." And I went back home and I typed in gay cruisy sites, Augusta. You want to know what it pulled up? Home Depot. And that section of the river walk and a park. I was like, oh my gosh, I had no idea. Home Depot? Gay cruisy and Home Depot. I go there to get my lumber. I didn't know that was a cruisy site. You can pull it up on your town. Do it. Gay cruisy sites and type in it. You'd be shocked at what you read. And I'm like, yeah, these are places to avoid. But when you walk on the levee, that's not the cruisy spot. That's John Q. Public. There's families, there's people. So I stay in what I call the safe areas. And if people thought I was a woman, they might have. Maybe that's why they didn't stare. I'm quiet, I'm walking, I'm looking at the scenery. I struggle with it, guys. And I go back and forth with it. Am I allowed to flesh that out? Am I allowed? I mean, yes, I want to please God, but I'm going to be honest, at this stage where I'm at right now, I've had some struggles with all of that. I'm not happy about what happened at work. I have felt a distance for some time. And Chance, you made a good point, and I agreed with you. But now as time goes by, and others came up to me, women and guys that don't have designs, they said, you know what bothers me, Mike, is I'm afraid you're doing this to win some sort of approval, and you need to stop. You're unique and you need to be yourself, and people need to either accept it or deal with it. And I started going, Chance, sometimes I like to wear this. Does that mean I got to chuck it? Does that mean God turns his back on me? I don't know. And at first I thought burn it all and all that. Now I regret. The dress, yeah, but that purple top, I liked it. So did everybody else, male or female. Not everything I do is thus saith the Lord. And part of being true to myself is letting that flesh itself out for the world to see. That's just my opinion. So I did that. And nobody came onto me. Nobody. I just had a nice walk. And it's hot. If I wear a shirt in this country down here, I am dripping with sweat. Last night I wasn't. I was sweating, but it was very mild. I was comfortable. I believe I'm a beautiful creation of God. I don't think I'm the definition of it all. But I'm 59. I'm going to age out one day where this will not look good on me. And I'm enjoying it right now. It's not a midlife crisis. I've been beat up and put down all my life. And it doesn't matter what I do. It doesn't matter. I will be criticized. I found that out with my job. Doesn't matter that I worked hard for 6 years. Nobody gave a crap about that. Nobody cared. They're offended at me commenting on something 3 minutes. 3 minutes ruined 6 years. Do I do what Americans do and retract, pull my channel down? How you doing today? That's what people do to be safe. But are you here listening to me because I choose to be safe and plastic? Everybody in the room, answer that. If I was fake, if I was plastic, if I wore a suit and tie and I played the game, would you be listening to me right now? Yes or no? Would you come here? Would you sub? This is unique. This is real. This is me fleshing Thank you, Cleo. And I'm not perfect. I sin. Do I got to put on an act in front of you and pretend I don't sin? Do I got to wear man clothes all the time? What if I'm horny as F and I just feel like being sensual? Women can do it all day long and nobody says a word about it. I'm a man. I got a sex drive. Call me a nympho. There should be nympha for girls, nympho for men. And I'm not even having sex. I'm sorry. I look in the mirror and I'm like, why did I get teased all my life? I'm not ugly. I'm not a dog. I'm not a monster. Our society is very nasty. And it's these trolls come in and start running their mouth about things. Yeah, go woke, go broke. I get it. I haven't gone woke. I just don't fit in a nice, neat box. I voted for Trump. I'm conservative. I defend a literal 6-day creation. God resting on the seventh, 24-hour periods, not millions and billions of years. Man, I'm not conventional. I lost my job over freedom of speech. And I've not once said if I could go back, I never would have done that video. No, I said what I said with conviction. Ellen, what are you going on about? Demanding I answer you. I'm talking. I can't see all the chat all the time. Lara Shia, no. No. I've never punished you, and I wouldn't. You're a good human being. I realize that not everybody agrees with my whatever all the time. I'm saying, Rye, should I do what society expects? Wear the suit and tie, be professional, don't be who I am. That's what I'm saying. If you like wearing a suit and tie, and you like small talk and superficial conversations, then by all means be you. But Michael doesn't do it. Michael doesn't fit. So what is the future for Michael? To be castigated and criticized? There is a place for me. I wish I could do modeling. Sam, the moderator, said, I wish Mike could get a modeling job. He'd be good at it. You know, you see some bizarre stuff out there. I realize, folks, that no matter what I do, somebody, yeah, Vox, I'm with you. And I think women that are obsessed with dogs have a mental disorder. And they can comment on my clothing all day long. That's not a mental disorder, that's just style. I'm not against pet ownership, but this OCD over a dog has gone too far. My fur babies, my children, doggy wiper on the back of the SUV talking about your dogs. They lick their butt, they lick their balls, they drink out of the toilet, eat dead things in the road. They're unclean, they're dirty, they're disgusting, they bark, they stink up the house, they get hair everywhere, they scratch and tear stuff up. I'm not into dogs. I grew up with them. They're cool out there. Somebody dog wants me to pet its head, I pet its head, but I don't want animals. Yeah, I have too, even as an adult. I'm not doing it again. Absolutely, Sharon. But the problem is, Sharon, so I went to the flea market, 65-year-old black woman. She's getting older, so her hair's getting white. She's got the dregs. She's into, kind of that new agey chakra and stuff, but she sells handmade soaps. I bought something from her yesterday. That woman, I didn't even see her. I was in my own funk. And I bought this from her. She sells rocks, lots of rocks, beautiful rocks. And I bought this beautiful $5, this piece of tiger's eye, because I've always been fascinated with tiger's eye. And that woman hugs me, kisses me on the cheek. She says, I love your style. I love the way you do things. She said, you're such a free spirit. Those are the people that like me. They're not the ones in the Christian setting. They're not the ones in the conservative setting. They're the ones that are a little off themselves. And I like seeing her. There's a Native American. Shoot, she sold me half the necklaces I got, even gave me some. I was going to wear this yesterday, but I thought it might be a little too much because it's so big and heavy. She sold me all these. Actually, she gave me a couple of them. And I like beads and necklaces, I always have. This one is very heavy. This is good stuff. Then there was this one. Even got a heart on it. And I realize all my life I've had that in me. Maybe it has something to do with my upbringing. I don't know what these are made out of. But these are metal. These are not plastic, because this is heavy. There's weight to this. These are not plastic beads. She sold these for cheap, too. They're only $3. This is very heavy stuff. I like interesting things, even if they're girly. I've always been that way. When I was a kid, I was accused of liking girl music when I liked Duran Duran and the hair bands. I've always been different. And having somewhat of a femininity does not mean that I'm gay or trans. I'm not changing my sex drive. Not doing it. Why you put a big on? Animals like me too. Shoot. Every time I go to the flea market, this friend of mine has dogs. And, they're rescue dogs that she brings them to put them up for adoption for a price because they got their shots. Man, the dogs won't leave me alone. They trust me. Sometimes I just like to be, I don't consider myself flamboyant. When I think of flamboyant, I think of some gay guy out there being obnoxious in public. I'm not like that. I'm quiet about things. I just do something and go into society. Girly is a made-up construct. I like pretty things, absolutely. Can I be honest? I like pretty men. Doesn't mean I want to marry them. I like men that grow long hair and look somewhat feminine. They're beautiful. And, I haven't dated in over 7 years. It is a mullet. It is. Oh, I would love to have some chainmail, the real stuff. Oh, she did, but it grows out so fast. She did it. She did it, but it grows out extremely fast. See, I do stuff like this. I mean, I got all kinds of stuff going on here. All of this crap I found on the bus, except the big one I bought at the flea market for $5 years ago. All this stuff I found on the bus, all of it. This is actually gold. This is nice. This one has some gold in it. This is one of those Hot Topic kind of rings. This is actually a rose bud with a skull in the middle of it. You can see it. Larashia, are you still in the room? I like you, Larashia. I'm not mad at you. Sometimes I get down because I'm like, I just feel like a lot of people in society want me to be what they want me to be. And if I don't do it, I'm just going to be judged and condemned and hated. And I don't like it. And I don't care even in a church setting. I'm not going to go into church like this. Wouldn't be appropriate. But you know what? I invested in a woman at that church. And even with all her ridiculous behavior, she had a migraine and had to walk out of church last Sunday and had to have somebody follow her home in her car, make sure she got there. I still, even though she was a twerp, messaged her and said, hope you're okay. Not once since I've gone through my ordeal, and she knows, hey, did you lose your job? Are you okay? Do you need me to pray? Not one reach out. So we can talk about this. But I got more heart than most Christians that dot their stupid I's and cross their religious T's, okay? You got a choir director and his wife who always says, how's Mr. Mike today? Has any of them come up and said, I'm sorry about what's happening? No. This is the kind of family, their kids are uptight, upright. They all wear complete dress like they're going into an interview at a Fortune 500 company. The young girl's in elementary school and she's sitting there like this. She doesn't even act like an elementary school girl. All acting, all that professional. And I'm like, man, I can't imagine what those kids are going through in that family. I cannot imagine. He'll get up there and talk with testosterone and, he leads a choir. And even when his wife is just doing a solo, he's standing off the side going like this. And I'm like, why are we directing my wife? A little off. You think that guy's going to come up and say, brother, I'm sorry. So I don't give a crap. I'm getting bolder. You'll be quick to judge me if I do something you don't agree with. But did you care about any of my struggles? No. And all this does is embolden me to be unique. Yeah, I won't fit in with most people. But I never did anyway. I don't wear, even if I wear nice black slacks and a proper shirt, they're not going to treat me any different than they treat me now. Do you not get my point? I look like Frodo? I don't think so. Thank you, Ryan. And I see that Sunday after Sunday. I sit there and think, he's got 3 boys. And you can tell the sensitive one, he wears glasses. Those 3 boys from the choir, they're staring in my direction. And I don't think it's attraction. I got long ass hair. They got it cut. Dad's balding in the middle, younger than me. Wife's a redhead with flowing long hair, and she's got the whole southern accent. I mean, I don't hate them. The teenage boys, none of them. None of the teenagers, we'll be walking by each other. They don't say, good morning, how are you, sir? None of that. I do not want a relationship with the teens. Please do not read anything into that. But if we're so godly and we're raised so right, and you look me in the eye and you can't say hi, I don't remember being like that when I was a teen. I respected adults. This generation don't. And Dad, you can tell he's rigid. He has a belief, and I've heard him say it. He'll get up there and get like he's on alpha medication. He'll be directing the choir, but he got to put a shingle. I hear people say they struggle with sin. There's no reason for that. You can have the victory. You can be transformed. You just need to own it. I'm like, dude, settle down. It's not that cut and dried. I'm not comfortable with that alpha over overt machismo. I'm sorry, folks, but I've run up against professionals in the last 4 weeks of my life. I'm not impressed. And Christianity is not a professional calling. Christianity is a relationship. You're out. I'm not going to take that one. The N-word, Ellen, you're not welcome in this forum anymore. That's not okay. That's not okay. Jess, thank you. I realize that people listening in on my stream will have a question. I realize not everybody will approve of what I'm doing. If it bothers you that much, you're not being held at gunpoint to watch. I have said over and over on my channel, I'm tired of cookie cutter Christians, cookie cutter women, cookie cutter men, and America is modeling their lives more after a TV commercial than they are reality. You got these aggressive SUV commercials. Now everybody feels they have to have an SUV. You got this Starbucks culture. And now you got people sitting around, grown men. Oh, I love that whipped cream latte. That's gay sounding. Grown men with a femi voice saying, oh, you got to try that new Starbucks pumpkin spice. I don't want to hear that discussion with a grown man. I just don't. Just saying. So before you put me in a box, I don't fit in any of them. I'm not gay. I'm not trans. I'm a conservative. But they need to get rid of Mitch McConnell. They need to get rid of these turtlenecked Republicans. They need to stop making career politicians. I voted for Trump. Does Trump always say and do everything that's exemplary? No, he doesn't. But we throw the baby out with the bathwater? I look at Kamala Harris, who I call Crapola. She was a joke. I know Trump's going to make mistakes, but I'd rather his mistakes be in the White House than Kamala's. Okay? Let me ask you that are my fans. Would you rather have me leading the country or the Democrats? Can you imagine if I won the governorship in California and I went under it as a quasi-trans? You know, it's interesting. They'll vote in Gavin Newsom, and this secular world tells us that that's leadership. Grown guy with white aging hair with his little gel swoopty. How gay looking. And you can't run a state. You got the position, you make big money, you let riots go on, you let illegals flood in, and then you mandate that no gas-powered vehicles will be sold after 2035. Who do you think you are, bud? That's beyond your skill set. You don't have the right to legislate what people will drive. These people got a lot of balls to do what they're doing. And people are leaving California in shiploads because of crap leadership like that. Well, and I will tell you something, Chance. I knew a man, Brian. He was my accountant in Minnesota at a little church up on the Iron Range. He always dressed professionally. He's one of the few professionals I respect. He had a wife who was irritating as all get out. She was the church secretary, and she could be snippy and curt, and she was there every time the church doors were open. I didn't feel that she had any inside track to close intimacy with God. She was kind of a twat. Brian, they made trips back and forth to Ukraine. They were doing mission trips. And Brian, you know, he has a grown son, and he had a very feminine voice, but yet he loved his wife. I mean, I would have thought if I'd have listened to him and didn't know that, I would have thought, oh, this guy's gay. Not at all. There are some men that just have that quiet, soft, feminine voice. And I've had to learn I could be wrong in an assessment of somebody. You want to know what I believe after years of experience? You want to know what shows me body language and tone fast that somebody's insecure? The drill sergeant voice, the choir director voice, the alpha outbursts in church. Now I'm sitting in church and there's some guy at the back of the church. You just suddenly go, ah, what the heck is going on back there? And I turned around one day. And Mr. Alpha get up there and he says, he must have seen me. Some of you may think it's unusual for people to express. And the pastor, I love my pastor, but they really push going down to the altar. I don't do it. I don't go down there. It's just low pillared, you know, and they all grab hold of it. That's fine. For me, I like to show off. I don't like to show off in church. I don't like to make a public show in front of people. And I watch something Sunday after Sunday. If mom gets up, all the kids get up and follow her down there. What's real and what's fiction? Are they doing it because it's expected? Those same teenage girls, they're up there looking at their nails and fluffing their hair. They look miserable. But mom gets up, oh, they're down there bowing down. I'm sorry, folks. That's fine if they want to do that. I'm not going to stand up and make a grand proclamation. But I watch it as an observer and go, how much of this is fake because it's expected? Don't make mom and dad look bad. You better be down there at the altar with us, kids. How many of them have a genuine, bona fide relationship with God? Shouldn't it show in being friendly to people? Yeah, you would think. And I'm not slashing my church to ribbons, but this is any church. What is the motive? Why do people do what they do? I don't go down to the altar because I bow my head in my pew and I privately talk to God. I don't need to make a show. I'm not going to make a show. I might make a show going out like this because I want to do that. But when it comes to church and when it comes to God, I am not doing showtime. Because I know that God will not honor that. If I feel that God wants me to get my butt down to that altar and weep before him, then I'll do it. But not before. Not before. You do lead by example, Fred, but how many people in a church play a game? Politicians do it all the time. We know that. Look, I'm just a flawed YouTube artist, folks. I'm just a flawed artist. If people are going to make a shrine out of me and expect perfection, this is the wrong place. Part of working out my salvation is working it out, even if you see some of this stuff in the interim that you might be going, yes, Riot. Right. The problem is there's too much within all of us where we're affected by the opinions of others. And we may say, I don't care what people think. Really? But I see you don't do that because you're afraid of what they think. And I realized something years ago that we need to cover here. How many times we don't do something because we're afraid somebody will see it? We know God sees it, but we don't feel that way. We're very okay with that. But if somebody else sees it, if somebody else knows it, oh, then we're having a problem. So guess what? Do we have a relationship with God, or do we have a relationship with the opinions of others? You all need to ask yourself that and stand and stare at your own face in the mirror, because guess what? Peer pressure is a major factor in the church, in the workplace, in our schools, everywhere. And if you think it goes away when you're an adult, no, it doesn't. Who wants to go onto a job and be looked down on by everybody? Nobody. So you stand around the water cooler with the professional man in your suit and tie, and you sit there and, shred people, and you do things to fit in, and you're running your mouth. And then when you get out of there, you go, man, I was just talking so wrong here. I was just downing somebody, and I actually like that person just to fit in with a bunch of goons that can pull strings in the company. Folks, motives. Adrian LeBreton. Look that guy up. The guy's beautiful. And you can tell he definitely has a femme side. He was born with it. Andrei Pajic. Look him up. I forget the name. Is it Trash Owl or Trash Cow? Not Trash Cow. I think it's a Russian name. They have long hair. They got smooth features. They can pull off the male or the female without a hitch. The word is androgynous. They didn't do anything to be androgynous. They just are. God and following him is not easy for me. I got a war within my own soul. And I like to be honest about that, because that is the first step towards recovery. There are things that God says in his word that are wrong. And he's sovereign and he's right. But then he's given me free will. I'm not somebody who just says, well, he's the boss, I have to like it. The boss has the right to tell me the work that needs to be done. But it doesn't mean I agree with the way the boss is doing things. I like things that are sin, that God condemns in his word. And I wish he didn't condemn it. What is wrong with two people that are lonely arousing each other? I don't personally think that's wrong. That's between them. But God says it ain't right. I'm talking about two pretty women that want to kiss on each other and get intimate. I think it's hot. I think it's awesome. I like seeing it in a video, to see two women being sweet on each other. It's fascinating to me. It's eros. It's erotic. And we live in a cold, calculated world. Just to get a job is a joke. The application game, the stuff. Sometimes I want to run. I want to leave society. I want to live in a place where I can pick fruit from the trees and live without having to deal with all this. I don't do well with some of this stuff. You do get punished for being honest today. You absolutely get punished. Two men are not hot, Mr. Smile, but to them they might think it is. Just like I think two pretty women are hot, and a lot of people go, no, that's gross. I don't want to see two bumping clams. I've had people come in on this room, you've seen it. I need professional help, they say. No, that's the last thing I need. Professionals, they don't know what the hell they're doing. You need to go to your pastor, not about this stuff. What good would it do to go with him about these dark things? It doesn't. You got to understand, when you're dealing with older people, older generation that don't struggle with these, no, you don't go to them with this. You go to God. Oh, I don't agree with that, Fox. I don't agree with the butt thing. I'm talking more touch, feel, being aroused in the mind about a guy's body. But anal sex, it is gross. It's totally gross. A woman going down on another woman and sucking her when she's having her period, that's disgusting. I mean, that's demonic. But a woman getting aroused at another woman's breast, like Diary of Anne Frank, I don't personally have a problem with it. I get aroused looking at breasts. So I'm not into gay as it's defined. But I've gone to the steam bath and had men massage my back and neck, and they thought it was beautiful. I don't care. Am I going to go off in the back room somewhere and do anal sex with them? No. I don't have a desire for that. They're not going to do it to me. I'm not going to do it to them. It's disgusting. And I have boldly said that over and over again on this channel. Anal sex ain't right. Technically, all sex outside God's parameters ain't right. And every single one of us, even now in this discussion, at different and varying levels, has different things that we say, nope, 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 I can't accept this aspect of it. But all of us have to go back to the standard which readjusts the alignment back to God's word, the plumb line. And all of us in this room will accept certain sexual sins over others if we're honest. Some of you don't believe it's wrong to go out to the movies with a girl and she wants you to put her hands under her shirt. You do it. Technically, in God's eyes, it's sin. My point is, I'm not condoning homosexual sex. I think that is gross. I'm not gay because I would never get into that. I'm not gay because I'm not into hairy, sweaty men. Have I seen men that are pretty, beautiful in pictures? Yes. Have I been aroused by some of those feminine looking men? Yes. Absolutely. But am I gay? No. I'm into women. But women aren't into me. Our society has shifted big time. I don't think I'm ugly. I'm a homeowner. I'm responsible. Women don't want that anymore. Riot, I thank you for that. And thank you for the vote of confidence, Mr. Smile. Daisy. Everybody read Daisy's comment. Is she speaking the truth, folks? Can I take a poll from my crowd? Read Daisy's comment. She says, Michael, frankly, you're not making any sense, and I don't think you even hear yourself. Is she speaking the truth? Yes or no? I believe she's off. See, and Holly, I failed to say that there are women on my channel listening and agree. They may not agree with every single thing I say, but they agree with the body of the most of where I go with this thread. Thank you, that pale girl. What do you mean? You speak with a lot, discuss, that becomes something more when it's to listen to. I don't understand that, right? That doesn't grammatically make sense. Sorry. Voxen, I don't feel that. Okay, Daisy. I spent 2 days working for a woman. Day 1 was okay. Day 2, she was a twit. Picking at me, picking at her husband, yelling at the trash men, yelling about the neighbors. I bet you if I spent 2 days with you, I would see your sins. I did not defend homosexuality. You didn't listen to a word I said. I said God condemns it. You're missing what I said. What you fail to understand is some people think that it's okay to be gay. I don't. But I don't think it's wrong to admit that one has an attraction on some level to the same sex. I don't believe that that is a sin to admit that. God tells us to confess our sins. You cannot change what is in the heart of man, Daisy. And if a man, you got women, a lot of Christian women who've told me that they have always entertained the idea of doing something with another woman. I've never condemned them for that. It's the human condition, Daisy. And I'll bet you $1 million if I spent 2 days with you, you would get on my damn nerves. Because you got sin that you're unaware of or won't take account for. Yeah, you cannot help what and who you're attracted to. I can't explain why I'm attracted to lipstick lesbians. It's hot. It's erotic. It is a sin to God for them to do that. And Daisy, I give an account to him, not you. You're not the one that's going to judge me on rewards or loss of rewards. You're not going to be part of that. Thank God, because you'd throw me into hell. You know, I'm sorry. This isn't Sunday morning church. This is Michael fleshing out his walk with God. Yes, I got issues. But I don't think you're realistic about yourself. At all. Yes, it does, Vox. Thank you, that pale girl. I don't believe anybody watching me claims to be perfect. The only ones that do are these little trolls that are just being dumb. They know they're not perfect. They just say they are. Yeah, I'm not asking everybody to approve of my sin. That's not what I'm doing. I'm not saying go there and do likewise. Y'all better live your conscience unto God. If God tells you something's guilty and you feel guilt, then don't do it. I'm talking to people to where we know it's wrong, but we crave something. Even though we know God, you know, it's nice to believe this little fairy tale that when you become a Christian that frosted Lucky Charms, you're magically righteous and you never desire those things again. That is not the case. I'm a perfect troll. Yeah, I do not find an attraction to butch lesbians. I do not want to see two butch, sweaty, hairy armpit women going at it. Gross. I don't. I don't want to watch two men boo-fooking each other either. I don't. It's gross. Sin takes on different forms. We all have within us a built-in limit line. My limit line may be further than yours is. Fred Hinkle's may be further out than mine is. Vox may be 50 miles behind mine. But guess what? He who began a good work in you will bring it to completion in Christ Jesus. Some of us, we need to realize this. Those of us that are saved, we're all going to be at different progress report levels. Just like school. Michael will probably get a C all the way through his Christian life. And maybe some D minuses and some Fs. I don't expect to get straight A's. Paul says, I buffet my body, I run the race, I fought the fight. Can we say that? I can't. I've failed and fallen and flopped and sinned. And as a Christian, I've had days where I'm like, I don't care. Leave me alone. Today, I want to just sin. I'm not glorifying homosexuality. I'm disgusted by it. See, Daisy, that's real Christ-like, calling Sam a dum-dum. You know, he's a brother in the faith, Daisy. Would you like it if I called you a C-U-N-T? Would that make you feel good? Because you're acting like one. And we all have different things that tempt us. For some in this room, it's smoking weed. Nobody likes to talk about that, but that's sin because it's drug usage. Okay? You're supposed to be filled with the Spirit, not drunk with wine, a.k.a. weed, a.k.a. lust, a.k.a. an addiction or Powerball or whatever the heck it is that you put all your energy into. Who's going on about dogs? Yeah, it's very hard being, no, it's not hard being a Christian. I know what you mean. It's hard being Christ-like all the time. I can't. I haven't felt Christ-like in the last few weeks. You ought to hear some of the stuff that's come out of my pie hole in this mouth about some of the administrators that handle my case. The word C-O-N-T comes to mind a lot. Look, the good thing about God is God sees Michael, and he knew before I got saved all this yucky crap that was going to come out of me. Praise God for his grace. Mr. Smile, thank you for being honest. We all have something that is a vice. And Daisy, I promise you, you do too. Let me spend a couple days with you. Let's go to lunch. Let's hang out. Let's go for a ride in my truck and just talk about life. I'm no threat or danger. Let's see what you are all about. And guess what? Any of us spend any time with somebody, we're going to find those things get to us. You're no exception, honey. I don't believe your walk with God is ratchet, lug nut tight with an air impact pneumatic tool wrench. I'll bet you got a few lug nuts that I can screw off with my hand. Okay? The reason I do what I do is because I want people, even if they are butt-fucking gay people, to come in here and hear the truth and get saved. Lesbians, stoners, I don't want to cast out people that disagree with me. The disrespect I don't tolerate. But if people could come here and get something and feel hope, That's more than you're doing. More than you're doing. Way more than you're doing. Our works don't get us into heaven. It's belief in Jesus Christ and repenting our sins to him, and we'll be forgiven. Holly just did the frameable quotable for the day. Thank you, Holly. And we should just end the whole stream on that. Do we forget when we came to Christ? Why is it we come to Christ and we get really self-righteous over everybody else? Is that what God told us to do? Nope. I don't care if a man finds me beautiful or attractive. I don't give a crap. I know that there are some that do. It's pretty sad, Daisy, that most Christian women have never told me I'm handsome or good looking, but they're so spiritual, and some of them are not attractive. Some of them are hugely obese, out of shape, and look like melted candle wax in the face, and they're going to judge me? What do you think that does to me? It puts me on edge. It puts me on the defensive. I've been shamed all my life, Daisy. Do you walk in my moccasins? I may do things that don't please you. I get that. But if I want to be confident and I want to get a little attention out there, right or wrong, why don't you just leave it alone? It has no bearing on you and your walk with God whatsoever. Zero. Zero. And guess what, Daisy? To quote the Fix song, you were saved by zero. We didn't get saved because we were good looking. We didn't get saved because we had it going on. We got saved simply because we acknowledged that Jesus Christ had to die in our place because we were absolutely disgusting sinners. When you get that in your brain, Daisy, then you'll be a better person for me to hang out with. Because at least you'll be more real and not so self-righteous. I'm tired of that crap. It's retarded. I hate self-righteousness. I hate it, and I will talk about it all day long. I admitted on here that I've never done drugs. And I tend to be very hard on people that do drugs and all that. And I have to remind myself, that's not my nemesis. That's not my struggle. And I need to be careful that I don't shame people on drugs. What is it? Riggs came in here one day confessing he struggled with the drug use. We encouraged him. We prayed for him. I'm not tempted to do drugs, so I tend to be hard on it. But I have to make sure I'm not being self-righteous. It's easy for us to think we're all that because we don't do something. That's not accurate. That's not accurate. I'm sorry, Fred. I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm just trying to make a point. I'll let up. And what Holly or that pale girl said? Pale girl, I have been the victim of harsh and undue and ridiculous, baseless, lied exaggerating by women all my life. It just happened in that letter. Pale, I think you were here when I read that letter of condemnation for my termination. I'm like, man, this is ridiculous. Women can be nasty. I've experienced it my whole life. And I try to be very careful not to accuse all women of that. I'm going to say something. Based on my experiences with women, I could reasonably and logically and justifiably, on a purely logical level, could justify me just saying, I'm going to be gay because women have been monsters to me. But I don't. Because not all women are like that. That takes maturation on my part. Have I been scarred? Hell, yes. You know, hey Angie, welcome. And pale girl, you're speaking truth. It's hard for me to be friends, just friends with a girl I want to go further with. Very hard. Very hard. Because if I'm aroused at the sight of her, I have biology going on. I don't have that problem. There's a woman down at the club, and a woman that's closer to my age, bartender, she's dating somebody. She always hugs me. I kiss her on the cheek when I see her. She's a beautiful woman. I'd date her in a minute, but she's taken. I live with the reality that when I go through stuff, I do not have a close community here. Boondocks said it the other day. Boondocks. He said, you are in isolation, you need to reach out. And Boondocks was right. When you are around a culture, when you feel valued, accepted, that culture can have more influence for good on me than everybody wagging their tongues. Does anybody follow me? Fox, I'm not. What are we talking about? Rumble and all this? I'm lost. Thank you, Stig. I am not on two platforms unless somebody's got an account and they're feeding my live stream on there like that Femyaz or whatever did. I'm unaware of that. They want to broadcast me all over the world, let them. I have no control over that. Right, Brad, but why are you here? You're just saying all this stuff. What? You're not getting anything out of the channel, so why are you wasting your time? I think, Ryan, there's a lot of people that actually listen. You're listening and you're just making comments that make no sense. It doesn't make sense. You guys see the fire and passion? Thank you, Jess. I don't know what Rye means by disgust. I don't understand what he's getting at. And I'm lost there. I have chosen to do the format of my channel, my stream, very different than what actually goes and blows up and makes money. I chose to be real and keep it real. And I am paying a price for that. I lost my damn job over that. But now do I got to come back and play an act for the fan base? No. If people feel like I am impeding their walk with God, then they'd rather listen to God than me. They need to. I'm not God. And I never encourage people to go out and live like the devil or to compromise their convictions. I'm just talking in a personal sense. But Rye, you've obviously got a problem with my overall way. That's kind of a problem because I'm not going to change for you. And there's no need to. I can't change the core of who I am. Cannot. I don't think anybody can change the core of who they are. Paul didn't. Paul had to have a Damascus Road experience before he stopped killing Christians, you know? And that literally took an act of God, because Paul, he was on a vendetta against the new church. And it took God literally slamming down and saying, Saul, Saul, why persecute me? You know, just because I'm a Christian doesn't mean that all this other junk just falls away. I see the numbers. The stream is not blowing up today because, you know, obviously people are having a problem with my dressing or whatever. I don't do this all the time. Thank you, Vox, and thank you, Mr. Smile and Jess. And I like Holly, and I like Pale Girl, and I like the women that come on here. Fred, are you still here? And I'm going to react based on some of the crap I've been through. I'm not trying to blow Daisy up, but I'm defensive and I'm reactive to that because that's all I've gotten all my life, even before I was a Christian. I couldn't please my mother, couldn't please my sister. The women in my family were biatches. I mean, they were awful. And Pale Girl admitted it, that women can be very judgmental. It's the damn truth. I had to suffer under that all my life. I didn't grow up with men. I grew up with females. I have brothers. One of my cousins that I grew up liking, his father favored his sister because she was into sports. I like Daisy. I don't even know anything about her. I don't hate her. I don't know her. I am going to be defensive. Got it, Rye. Look, I need help. When you're scarred, now I know a story years ago about a guy that I was friends with had a dog, and somebody came hauling butt down the dirt road out in the country where he lives, and his dog got hit, severely destroyed one of the legs on the dog. So the dog was a three-legged dog by the time I met this friend. And the dog's name was Muffy. Big white dog, I don't know what it was. And I met him because I was down by Lake Superior one afternoon, and I saw this dog, 3 legs, just jump into Lake Superior, swim and come back in. I mean, it was a trip. And that caused me to start talking to this man. And we became friends for 13 years. But he told me the story that the dog got hurt and hit and crushed the leg, and the dog ran under the porch in terror and fear and yelping. And when my friend had tried to come near the dog, that dog was under the deck, did not want anybody getting near it. He said, I had to get down and cry. And I kept saying, Muffy, I'm trying to help you. And it took time for even his best friend to win over the injured dog. How come you can't see the comics, Vox? I'm looking, everything's streaming fine. It may be on your end. Sometimes the phones act up. Sometimes YouTube acts up on your phone. It's done it to me. Sometimes I'm yelling at Apple. I said, what is going on? Or Facebook. Facebook has gotten just stupid with trying to... I can't even post a dang YouTube video from my phone onto Facebook anymore. It will not let me do it. I don't know what is up with that. Cannot share a YouTube link on Facebook. Used to do it so easy. So I have my scars, and I try not to let them dominate. But when I see a woman start attacking, you know, the alarms in the engine room of my ship go off, and the watertight doors slam shut because I've been through it. And I'm going to start compartmentalizing. That woman is a danger. Out. That's called a defense mechanism, and we all have them. We also have what's called triggers. That when women, what I've been through over and over, and I see people making comments, I'm like, yep, there we go again. I don't take criticism well. Who does? Who does? I don't think any of us do, if we're honest. Years ago, people accused me of, you can't handle criticism. I said, this is coming from the people that all you do is criticize. We had a guy by the name of Ag Gillespie that used to come onto my channel. It was a mess, and I'm not going to get into his personal background, but he had sent me a personal thing in YouTube when you were allowed to do that. He admitted his past. He admitted that he wanted to be friends. He admitted where he lived, and we'd be good roommates. And I read it. I responded. I said, well, thank you. I said, I'm good. And he got offended because I didn't want to, call him on the phone and be buds with him, because I had seen him in the chat or the comment section of YouTube. It wasn't chat back then. He constantly leave comments. Mike never wants, Pacific never wants to listen to me. He never wants to take my advice. Man, I don't have to take your advice, bro. This is my channel. And you're sitting here going on and on and on, and you're mad. And then you get on here and say, I have nice nipples when I'm sitting there with my shirt off. Yeah, I don't want to get too close to you. And I call him out. And he did this crap for years. You couldn't block people back then. Can I say something I've learned about this right here? About the internet in general? I have no idea what's watching me right now. I don't know if somebody's sitting there with their pants down going like this. I don't know if they look like Jabba the Hutt. I don't know if they got weapons on the back wall of their room. You got anybody and everybody that gets on here. The internet is a great habitation for some of the most disturbed individuals. And I recognize that. Some of them could be fans of me. That's scary. You got people I met. Hi, Cleo. Humbled comes from God, not other people. I'm going to say that right now. I know when God's humble. I know what it looks like, and it's real. We as people We got too much of our own humanity in the way. I know I do. If a man or woman came up to me confessing they got a problem with drugs, I didn't do drugs, but I'm going to be very compassionate when they tell me that. I'm going to say, you know what, thanks for being honest. Have you considered doing some treatment? Do you want to talk to a pastor? I'm not going to parade and make them feel bad. Even though I don't understand all the drug thing, I'm going to try to help point them in the right way so they can get help and hope. A lot of Christians, and I felt like that was going on this morning with somebody, they just like to sling shit. Shit slingers. I mean, throwing their spiritual snowballs. They don't have an intent to help me. They don't care to make me better. They're not there to give a crap. They're just shit slingers. And folks, we got to be careful. We can't do that. I don't care if I say stuff to the trolls. They deserve it. They have it coming. But I'm not going to get closer to Jesus with people harping on me when I'm being honest about my struggles. Yelling, capital letters, quoting scripture at me. It's like, I know what the scripture says. I'm not disagreeing. Why are we preaching at the choir? But a man or a woman should be able to say, I do struggle with this, and it's not easy to quit because I like it. So keep quoting scripture and yell at me. It's going to make the problem just evaporate, right? It doesn't work. That's why I throw a lot of these Christian self-help books in the trash can. They don't work. God has to change our heart, people. I can't change it. And when we're scarred, when we're injured, when we're bruised, there are some people that come up to me and they deserve for me to go, and bite, because their intentions are not good or righteous. And I'm very doubtful about humanity and people saying, I'm just trying to help. Yeah, what's your motive in this? You know, I'm guarded too. Shot slingers always stirring the bucket and hating. Absolutely. Do you really want to know, Mr. The Smile? A lot of them are narcissists studying their prey. Well said, Vox. I never thought about it that way. Wow, that's deep. Let's drop some ugly names, shall we? Jeffrey Dahmer, Green River Killer, Bundy, I forget that when I get on here, you got people that I will never see or know who they look like that got those mindsets in their brain. And though they're not out there killing people and eating dead body parts, they're on here sadistically wanting to destroy, hurt me or others on the social media. I don't say that's sick. I'm going to call it what it is. That's just evil. Is our goal to help somebody become better? Or are we trying to destroy somebody? We all need to ask that. And the views are not blowing up today. What makes the views blow up? I don't know. Sometimes I fire on all day, sometimes I don't. Yes, Vox, absolutely. And I hope nobody, what Vox says, I hope nobody views me as being guilty of that. I don't believe I am. I literally just get on here and be an open book. And I've invited you to read the story. Hopefully this book has a happy ending. I know it will ultimately in heaven, but there may be some chapters in it that are not good and fun to read. Ladies, I'm sorry. If you were looking for this to be the Hallmark Channel, I can't. Pale girl, are you still in the house? Well, thank you, Rye. Try wearing a bra backwards. Now that's a trip. Here, we'll put the knot on the front. Oh, now it really does look like a bra. Isn't that cute? Oh, jeez. Maybe next time we'll do the live stream and then we'll see WTF fill the room. That's a good idea, Fred. That'll get some reaction. I'll do a short like this. WTF is wrong with you? I gotta make sure my nipples don't show. That's actually kind of cute. That's unique as hell. Come on, laugh with me, man. Laugh. It's funny. It looks like a damn bra. That's awesome, Fred. Thanks for injecting some humor. I'm getting a little too serious for my own damn good. I kind of like that look. Should I go up and apply for the show I Dream of Jeannie? Yes, master. Boing. Oh my gosh, that woman was so hot. I Dream of Jeannie. I think all of us dreamed of Jeannie. What was her real name? I forget. I obeyed Fred. He said, try wearing a bra backwards, and everybody keeps calling this a bra, and now it really looks like one. I ought to do that. Next time they say, why are you wearing a bra? I go, I wasn't, but since you call it that, I'll turn it around and make it look like one. That's awesome. Yes, Pale, that's awesome. Baby goats, that's cool. I wish I lived near you. I love playing with goats. I love to pet and chase goats. I like goats better than dogs. I had 2 when I was in high school in Arizona. My mother would name these goats that were Valentine and Sweetheart. I said, Mom, I'm a guy. I don't want to call goat Valentine and Sweetheart. My mother would always pick these names that I was embarrassed to say. I came up with my own names for the animals. I just call them goat. I'd say, hey, goat. I'd come home from school, go in the goat yard, and I'd sit there on a bale of hay, and the goats like their heads scratched, and I'd scratch their ears, and they like to headbutt and play. Goats are fun. And we had these big boulders in the yard, and I'd jump from one to the other, and the goats would chase and tear around. They loved that crap. I said, goats are way better than a dog. They engage in play. They put their head, I'd be petting them, they'd push their head into my lap, and I'd push their head back, and they'd push again. They liked being played with. Ours did not stink. They were very clean. Barbara Eden, thank you. Oh, my mom was very impatient with me. I was too energetic. And instead of, this is what we do as a society, and my mother taught me well. When we don't understand something, we criticize the hell out of it. When people look at me and they don't understand it, they criticize the hell out of it. They label me. They treat me like something out of the CDC and the viruses in the quarantine zone. And guess what? That has an effect. And when you are ignored and when you are shunned, it opens the door for sexual curiosities and deviancies. Did you know that? Because Kids, we're wired. We don't get appropriate loving touch from your mother and father. When you don't get your attaboys and kudos, when you don't get your validation from home, okay, now the cruise ship leaves the port of home and you try to find it in school. Then when you don't get it in there, then you find it. Your antennas are up. It's like the submarine sonar. Boom, boom. You're going to look for it. Why do you think gangs exist? Why do you think cults flourish? Why do you think the weirdest cults that teach the most bizarre stuff are successful? Because they act like they care. Wow, that's cool, Pale. She got a full-blown farm. That question was asked by many members of that family, Chance. I still don't have an answer to that. I think part of it is looking back at my mother. She liked cute things. She liked kittens and puppies and babies and baby stuff. When you grow up, when you go through child development, and I'm no longer cute, but I'm a toddler and I'm difficult, guess what? Kids reveal some ugly stuff in us people, don't they? You find out whether you have patience. You find out if you really have love for that child. My mother thought I was cute because I had red hair. Actually, I was adopted at 4 months. I don't know how much hair was on my head then. My mother abused both my Mexican sister and I fairly equally. My sister was a picky, fussy eater. And my mother did not learn to be a proper mother. And I remember sitting as a young boy in the den or the dining room den area of the back of the house in Torrance. And my mother got angry and she picked up the whole plate of food. And my sister started yelling at her and buried it in her face and smeared it in her face. And as a kid seeing that, my sister and I were like Tom and Jerry fighting all the time. But as a kid seeing that, I was horrified. Even in me, in my undeveloped, I wasn't a Christian, my mind said, that's not right. That's not right. No mama should do that. That's not right. I was chewing on my shirt. I don't know why. When I was in school, I would chew on the edge of it. My mother got angry about it time and time again. That night I sat down for dinner and I sat down at the table. My mother handed me a plate with a cut up shirt and parsley sprinkled on it. I said, Mom, what is this? That's your dinner. I said, I'm not eating this. Well, you chew on your shirt? Yelling at me, screaming at me. I should have picked that son of a bitch up and said, you want to put something in somebody's face? Wham! I should have broke that china on her face. I should have knocked her in the next week for the shit that woman did to me. You think I did that stuff? No, I had to submit to it. I had to grow up in that. My dad with his bullshit. Growing up, forced to ride in a damn truck with him and him smoking cigarettes and half his molars missing and he'd chew his food up. It sounded like schmog. And I grew up and he had his country kicking music. And I hated being around my dad. I was energetic. I was into shivs. I was into driving in the truck. No, I tell you what. I never got closure. And my dad passed away last year. I felt completely numb when I heard the news. I didn't rejoice in it. I didn't feel any pain. The only thing I said is it's sad. And I felt bad for my dad when he went through with his wife. My mother was awful to him too. He tried to love her. My dad should have just been a man and said, fuck, I'm out of here. And that's what I'm tired of in our culture. My parents were not saved, born-again Christians. But Christians do the same stuff. They're not any better. And people like to, just like I said about my admission, I don't do drugs and I tend to be very hard on drug addicts. And so people that don't struggle with sexual sin look at me and say, you're a pervert, you're a pedophile. I am not a pedophile if I'm attracted to another adult. Shut the F up. Oh my gosh. And I admit it. A teenage girl could arouse me when she's dressed provocatively. That does not make me a pedophile. It does not make me a pervert. Some of these teenage girls are my size and they're grown women. Man, I'm tired of these, women in the workplace have gotten so ridiculous. Oh, he looked at me. He's stalking me. A guy walked through the break room and he went, and that's stalking? A cursory glance? A lot of women today don't know how to use terminology right. They see a man get upset. Oh, he's got anger management. Girl, we know you all got anger management issues. We've seen you out there on the roads. We've seen you. Come on. Give me a break. Go good on YouTube and watch. I'm sorry, gotta say it. You ever seen some of these African American women when they get pissed off? Woo, baby, those things go viral. I saw two women in the projects. They had an argument over something, and one grabbed her, ripped her shirt down, right in front of all these kids out there watching. I'm like, my gosh, these videos get more views than mine do any day of the week. They love Jerry Springer. People love Jerry Springer. I think it's embarrassing. I think it's a sad commentary on our society. We can't frickin' behave ourselves. And I'm attracted to black women. But I'm not going to date or marry one that's yelling and screaming and dropping the N-word and the F-word and going full ratchet. I don't want to be around that. But there's a lot of white women I won't date. Because they're just like the superintendent fired me. They lie, they exaggerate, they character assassinate, they make fun. Look, man, I don't care who you are, whether it's Cleo, who's a black lady, or me, or anybody else. We all got shitty people we don't want to be around. And they're all over today. And our country is getting worse and worse and worse. I don't watch Jerry Springer. That show just amazed me that it got so much traction. So much. Why does Jerry Springer get so much traction? It's low class. In fact, it's no class. Fred, you really made my day. I just feel so sexy. I'm too sexy for my bra, too sexy for my shirt. I went to BLM rallies, fought tooth and nail for them, but after years of them treating me like dirt, I was radicalized. You're honest, I see. Little hats. Always shine, Michael. If the world falls down around it, let it fall. We don't have to fall with it. On the catwalk, that's funny. Peanut butter and jelly, how are you? Cleo is a beautiful woman, by the way. Where is she? Unless I've got the wrong Cleo here. There's a few Cleos. No, Chloe is it. But Cleo, was on my channel. I'm thinking it's the same one. Cleo, are you the same one? You're in New York? Freemasonry. Christians need to get out of that. I had a book on Freemasonry years ago talking about Albert Pike and all the stuff involved. You're not the one in New York. My bad. Like to say Southerners are racist, but we have a lot of interracial marriages and children running around. Yeah, look. I'm down here in the South, and I'm here to tell you. There are some things down here that are not good. I tell you, the biggest thing that's hitting me, I've been here 6 years and I have no community. I hated Denver, but I did have some community. I had women I could call up and talk to often. I have women for movie dates, dinner dates, just to hang out. I have one female that calls me. Well, I got a couple that call me. They're different levels. 3 of them are the black women that I worked with. One is now a school teacher. One got out of transportation, is doing, I call it the group home, where there's four adults in there, and she does the, changes the diapers and all that on adults. And I forget what that is. It's not quite CNA. I don't know what it's called, but as far as close friendships where somebody's got my back, boy, it's been a long time since I've had that. In fact, I don't know if I ever had it. I had 2 friends in Duluth for 13 years, but they didn't have my back. I wouldn't say that. Hello, Mina. How are you? 20 years to hear a young, fresh person talk that way. People need to hear that stuff before we end up like Germany. Nursing assistant, just dropped the certified, got you. Give them their meds and stuff. Like done? What's like done? Mina, how come I can't comment on your videos? I'm not allowed to leave comments, I noticed. I can't say this is nice, I got blocked or something. Scottish Rite. They got a Scottish Rite temple here in town, right over by the Masters. You could actually look it up. I go to church and I don't have community, Pale. Look, Pale, you know what I'm talking about. How many men go to church with this big old long-haired galoot? And I refuse to change for the culture. I heard a saying all my life, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. Okay, I get that. But I'm not going to change my looks or my style or my finesse of who I want to be. No, it won't let me leave comments. My channel is going to be monetized soon. It's still waiting for one more stage. Mina, you should be able to do it pretty soon. Well, no. It depends on if you have enough watchtowers and stuff. What do you mean that's her area, Cleo? Bring me up to speed. Thank you, Snapshot, hopefully. She posts videos with no comments. Oh, got you. Because they were all open, Icy. That's why I asked. Yeah, no, Mina's good. I like her stuff. Thank you, Mina. We try to talk about issues, Mina, because it's important. And there's issues everywhere. You know, I go to church this morning, and there's a part of me that just says, I want to just take a break. But I go because sit in here and be alone, or go to church and hear the word. I want to hear the word. I want to hear somebody outside of Michael's own mouth talking all the time, telling me the truth, because I believe in that. Thank you, that pale girl. Yes, I see. It does Vox. I mean, a week ago yesterday, we had a 47,000 view video. That's huge. That is huge. Mina, by the way, is a beautiful Nepalese lady. I'm not going to lie. I think Mina is beautiful. She's a very pretty lady. She likes to dance just like I do, and I like people that have energy. And I like people from other countries because Mina exemplifies a lot of freedom that a lot of women in our culture do not have. A lot of women will not get up and dance because our culture can be mean as hell. They make fun of people. They rip people apart. I remember when I went to Hong Kong for the first time, and I went to karaoke when I was in there, and the lady said, "Michael, dance." I said, "No, I'm not dancing." And Michael saying, "No, I'm not doing all that." Because I don't dance perfect. I just do my own thing and make it fit. And I started singing. And it was the Filipinos that said, "Michael, you have good voice." I said, "What?" They loved it when I came in and sang. I'd get up in there and I'd start singing, "Para di ko yata kaya." I'd start singing Bakit Pa. I'd start singing Di ko na mapipigilan. I'd start singing No Si Balasi. The girls loved it because I'm trying to build a bridge. They'd get up and bump into me. There's this one girl, she kept bumping into me. We ended up dancing, very pretty lady. And I found that there's freedom in other cultures that we don't have anymore. If you notice, if you pay attention, ladies and guys, the only time you see men and women dancing anymore in a bar is after they've had a few beers. They don't have the guts. I will walk into a place, if I feel comfortable, I would walk in wearing this and I'm going to dance. I don't care. But it took me going to Hong Kong to get there. Is the capital Kathmandu? I don't know the capital of Nepal. You think I would know that, but I don't. I know. But your dancing is beautiful, Mina, and I like that. You dance and you express. I mean, women will do it here in their room. Mostly young. The women my age, I think a lot of them are afraid. Because our society's mean to each other. I know, I get it every day when I do a video. I have to be drunk to sing karaoke. Shoot, I started getting confidence because of another culture of women. The Filipinos would always, "Mike, you sound good." I'd grab that microphone, riding on the city of New Orleans, Illinois Central Monday morning rail, 16 cars and 15 restless riders, 25 sacks of mail. All along the southbound Odyssey, of Kankakee, I forgot the rest of the dang words. Still the rail ain't heard the news. Good song about the going out of the railroad. It's a beautiful song, it's a sad song. I'm 59, you're 40? Wow, I thought you were younger. You look great for your age, Mina. You look beautiful for your age, and I like your energy. If I was in Nepal, and if you let me, I would meet you. It's very hard to marry overseas because it's a big process. But you know what, folks? That, and Mina just triggered something. That's why I liked Hong Kong. I was free to come out. I wanted to write a book. I learned to dance and sing in Hong Kong. Not in America. Not in America. Not here. I sang. Well, thank you, how do I say that? Razbustia. I can't dance or my top will fall down unless I turn it around. Well, I did what Fred wanted, now we can turn it. Oh, I want to dance with somebody. Yeah, I want to feel the heat with somebody. Shoot, I gained confidence overseas. And it was simple. Because the pretty ladies encouraged me. They encouraged me. Our society trains us by sarcasm and satire and by hatred and mean comments. Am I single? Yes. Dancing is a natural antidepressant. Mina does have a channel. Mina, what is the name of your channel? Cleo would like to see it. She's a pretty lady. And I say that because you get on channels, and I'm different. I just did a video this morning before I got on here. I took some music that Mina had on her music. I don't know if it's Hindi or Nepali, but I like the cadence of it. I just did a little thing to it. I'm not limited by my culture. Hong Kong taught me that if I like a song in India or Nepali, even though I don't know the words, that's got some rock and some to it, I'm going to listen to it. I'm not closed-minded. I have people say, Mike, why do you listen? You don't know the words. I don't need to. It's beautiful. I'm watching them dancing. I'm watching the singing. They're not talking about sucking somebody's coochie, you know? Nice and uncomplicated, yes. Simple. Mina and Filipinos and women that I met overseas, when you're there in their land, they cook good, they're nice to you, and you feel like you belong. Folks, do you know how you belong in the U.S.? Buy an SUV, go to Starbucks, smoke weed, OCD with dogs, with other people who have dogs. How does a person like me belong? I'm not going to get it this Sunday morning. You'll have a couple out of 50 people that will go out of their way to say hello to me. That's shameful. I don't go to church dressed like this. Most of those people at church, they don't see my channel. They don't know what I've got going on over here. And nor do I care. Yes, Augusta. I'm Native American. My mom is American. My father is Asian. I love it. I love Asian culture too, very, very much. I like African culture too. I have a friend in Zambia. I had a couple of friends in Kenya. Now, I want to say something about the influence of social media. I had a friend over there, and it bothered me. Kenya, beautiful woman. I was attracted to this woman. She was a flirt. And she flirted with me. We used to talk. And then after she did all that, she said, wow, I have a boyfriend. I said, man, I didn't know that. And she have a boyfriend. Somebody from the UK or whatever. Then I'd see something she posts on her Facebook, and she doesn't have a boyfriend. She flirted up with me. When I had COVID, she posted on her page, we need to pray for Michael Nelson. He has COVID, and he's a dear friend, and I love him with the love of God. Such a beautiful soul. But I watched her. Once she started doing videos of her dancing, all these men showed up. And she started treating me differently. Now, she's got the world showing attention to her. Who's Michael? I've watched this. I had a friend in Philippines. She served in Dubai. She was a chef. On her Facebook, she had her presentations of food. They are unlike anything I've ever seen. Her culinary arrangement and skills were. We talked. She worked so long. She said, I do this for my son so he can go to college. She was drop dead beautiful. We talked. She had tried to do an online relationship with a guy in the U.S. He was a jerk to her. She said, Michael, if I went back home and you could, would you see me? I said, absolutely. Absolutely. Tragic story. The last conversation we had on the messenger, face to face, she said, Michael, they overwork me. I get no time off. When COVID came, we're not allowed to leave. My contract had ended and I kept working and I get no breaks. Last conversation. She would always heart my posts and I would heart hers, pictures. One day, no heart. 2 day, no heart. 3, 4, 5, 2 weeks went by and I'm like, what happened to Neth? N-E-T-H, Neth. I went on her page, I went and messaged her, I said, hey, I haven't heard from you, are you okay? 2 months went by. I started going through her friends list and I found somebody that was connected to her in the Philippines. I said, I'm sorry to bother you, my name's Michael, I'm friends with Neth, no posts. She always messages, we always talk. She calls me, Michael, she died. I said, what? This was all framed and open. I stood here and I cried. And I said, my gosh, I got to know this person. What did she die from? Michael, she had aneurysm. That employer in Saudi make her work so hard. I said, I know, she told me. Michael, I give you her son. He'll want to talk to you. Her adult son, very kind man. You were the last one that talked to my mom. Talk to me. I know this sounds like drama, but do you realize that we have more power than we realize on social media and people come on here and shit all over people? Pardon my French. They get on social media and think it's funny to be asshats. I've met some women and people on Facebook that were quality human beings. And even though I couldn't have a physical or a marital relationship with them, I did love them. And you know what? Neth died because her employer made her work. She got 4 hours of sleep. And the son told me, yeah, they ship her coffin or casket. They put her in a crude wooden box, shipped to the Philippines and went to Manila. The son had to pay extra to ship it to Mindanao. And they showed it sitting on a warehouse floor in Manila. You know, when I see that, it angered me. And he posted the, he said, I have to, he said, I've contacted her employer and said, you really need to pay for this. You worked too hard, that's why she died. I said, I agree with you. These people are treated like slaves in Saudi. Everybody thinks the UAE. I'm sorry to say what I would say, fuck the UAE. That is one country I have no respect for. I'm not into Islam, okay? And UAE's big rich because of our lust for oil. And they've made a lot of money off of oil. Those sheiks and princess buying $1 million cars. I do not like Saudi Arabia. If I have any prejudice, I don't have a prejudice towards an Arab, but I do not support Saudis. They were the ones that flew those planes into our trade towers. They were the ones that flew into the Pentagon. Nobody from Iraq. Saudi Arabians. And this country did nothing to Saudi Arabia. We went after Iraq because Bush's petty little revenge for his father and whatever happened. It angers me. This country is corrupt. Saudi Arabia is corrupt as hell. And people say they want to go there. What is there in Saudi? A bunch of skyscrapers in a hot-ass desert. No trees, no scenery. And they drive expensive cars. And the only way you can live there is if you're a multi-billionaire. It's ridiculous. I do not accept that. And they worked Neth to death. They hired a lady from Africa. I met her too when she was talking to me to cook with her. She heard Neth moan. What's wrong? Help! She fell by the toilet, come out the shower, and she had the aneurysm. By the time the ambulance came and got her, she was dead. And what you do on social media is just as important as what you do out there on the streets, people. These are human beings. Make sure your involvement with them is decent. Stop this trolling and this bullshit. It's just wrong. It does hurt. You got teen girls committing suicide because of trolls. You got teen boys committing suicide because of trolls in America. That's not okay. That's not okay. Whether you like it or not, we have got to teach ourselves to see value in every human, whether we agree with them or not. Now, I admit, because of my limitations as a man, I have to put a filter on me. There are some people I cannot hang around because they're just too negative for me. And that's okay. Turn them over to God and walk. Yes, Sam. I don't hate Israel. But I do not like the Middle East mindset, generally speaking. I got to see them carry the men carried the beautiful coffin that they got for her. They carried it over a rough dirt trail with roosters and chickens walking around. They set it in place in the house. And I lost it because it had a glass spot over where Neth's face was, and I saw her face. Oh, wow. A young, beautiful, pretty lady doing this horrible work so her son could go to college. Never asked me for a dime. She was different than the other Filipinas. She was very smart. She was very knowledgeable. She was different than any I'd ever communicated with. Neth was a beautiful soul. I get so mad. When I came out here to Georgia with happiness for what has happened to be called a racist by the superintendent, what an awful thing to be said about Michael. I am anything but racist. I don't know Mina, but she'd be easy to fall in love with. I had love for Nev. I've had love for black women I knew in Africa. Racism is not part of my character. I speak out against the behavior of people within a race, and I will say the black word because some blacks in this country act very shitty, and a lot of them I happen to work with. They don't follow the rules. They don't do what they're told. They get favoritism. They don't get fired. Some of them still have a job that did not deserve to have a job day one. Yes, I'm going to speak out. And fuck the superintendent. And I can say that. I'm not under them anymore. She's wrong, and what she said was wrong. I do not like what's happening. Everybody wants to come to this country, and I'm starting to tell people, don't. Stay where you are. Enjoy the beautiful things of your culture. I love this country, but I don't like what the Democrats and the liberal and wokeism, and people think I'm woke. Shit, listen to what I say. I'm a little more open-minded on some things, okay? That's it. Not everything I do is right. Sometimes I just do it because it's what I'm feeling. I don't think I should be crucified on that hill. I didn't like losing my job. I am really having a problem because I was used to the routine for 6 years of doing this. That's been whacked out of my hand. I had a couple from North Augusta buy a pie safe. It's big and heavy, and I don't feel like clunking that thing around. I was going to use it for a sweater wardrobe, and I decided, let's just sell it. It's big. A couple things I'll put up for sale just to purge and clean some stuff out. Yeah, I wish I had a girlfriend. One that I was really into. One that was really into me. I don't want fights and arguments and drama. I want somebody where I feel like I've been hitched up to a beautiful draft horse and we're pulling in the same direction and we know we're good. Marriage scares the crap out of me today, folks. Yes. And the Philippines even sent out a warning to the Filipino ladies. They had no problem with them going OFW in Hong Kong, but they said be very careful about the UAE. The Philippines has no jurisdiction over a Philippine citizen once they go over there. And they are killed. And nobody knows where or what happened to them. It's sad that these women have to go to a shitty place like that, turn a measly $400 a year or $400 US a month, because they can't make that in their country. They're modern day slaves. And I've talked to a few women in the UAE. I talked to one, and I'm going to be brutally honest. I'm a Christian man admitting these things. She would talk to me. She was in the UAE. She was alone. She was in a room, and she said, Michael, you know, in this place, I cannot go out without the burqa. I hate it here. I had to make money. And you know what? She wanted to relieve herself with me. And we did. Quite a few times. Cam to cam. Her naked, me naked, us doing our thing. That's what society's become. I cannot have that in real life in Augusta with a pretty woman like that. Doesn't exist. Not for me. There's so many hang-ups and weird stuff with women in our culture today. And I know that there's right and wrong, but what people in this country that are so busy condemning all the wrongs that Michael does, they don't bother to see what leads me to those points. Low-wage migrants. Do you know how much money it costs to rent and live in Hong Kong? $6,500 then US dollars for a 3-bedroom flat. I mean, that's ridiculous. Ridiculous. And we come here, now it's up to $1,200 for a shithole in Augusta. That's crazy. And you pay your worker to work 6 days a week, up to 16, 17-hour days for $400 a month to fold your wash, to cook your food, to run your errands, to put the kids into bed, to dress the kids, do all they do. And before you think being a domestic helper is just some easy housewives doing, no. They work those girls hard. They're on a 2-year contract or longer. And many of them become involved in lesbian activities because they'll hire 2 of them. They will put them in a room that is 6 feet wide by 8 feet long, usually a bunk bed. And they start experimenting with each other because they can't date. Or they're married back home, haven't seen their man for 2 years. See, I've learned something about sexuality. Sexuality adapts. It's not a salvation, but it's a defense mechanism. It's a survival mechanism. Even women have feelings. And they'll start experimenting with there's a high amount of lesbianism with the Indonesian and the Filipino community in Hong Kong. I even talked to my pastor about it. They're married. They don't want to be caught going out with a man and getting pregnant because then their husband is going to beat the stuff out of them when they come back. Even though the Filipinos are known for cavorting around. I learned a lot when I was over there. Yeah. It's really different in Asia. Over there, I felt like I was riding on the crest of a wave. Sailing away on the crest of a wave, it's like magic. Slipping and sliding, rolling and sliding, it's magic. Oh, you're my one desire. ELO. Can I just say something, men and women? Reality sucks. When you're in Asia and women want to spend their day off with me, and they're pretty, and they want attention, we can quote all the scripture we want, okay? But the power of the present is going to win. You got a beautiful, long, black-haired woman, and she's touching me, and she's kissing on me. I'm done. I'm washed up. It's over. ELO's awesome. Hello, Leland. Welcome back. I wish that I could say I'm such a wonderful, holy, righteous Christian that everything I do reflects the glory of God. I wish I could lie to you all and mean it. I'm not. I believe with absolute conviction that book. But living it is tough. I doubt God now. I doubt him so much. I've been a little pissed. I walked last night to get rid of some built-up tension. It was a beautiful evening. Nobody to walk with. Shit, I'm eyeing that woman at the bookstore. If you saw that woman, if she was dating me and came on here, you'd be like, whoa, Mike, really? She is a good-looking gal. Younger than me. I don't know how old she is. I'm thinking 30s. Beautiful. She's almost got a little bit of a Betty Boop face in a good way. Slender. She had a beautiful black and red shirt with the little sparkle things on it. Midriff showing. Sleeveless shoulder. Beautiful lady. I've always looked at her and thought, wow, she's got a truly unique Caucasian woman look. She does not look like everybody else. I'm not gonna lie, just on looks, so I'd be proud to have her on my arm anywhere in this country, and nobody would look at me funny then. But I don't believe I could get a date with that. And this is my problem. You know, I'd love to ask her out. I don't know, she's married, she had all these rings on her fingers. She's similar to me in many ways with her out there style. I'm like, man, I bet you if we were a thing, we'd get along great. I came in this. Hello. She's so friendly. And I said, how are you? There was nobody in the store. It was perfect. I said, I had to buy my book and I had to see you. She lit up. She goes, what are you doing? What are you going to do this evening? And I didn't know. I should have said, well, I'm going to go for a walk. I don't know if it's too forward. I should have been bold. When you close, you want to, are you open to going out or, you know, walking or something? I should have at least tried, but I'm scared because I just assumed the answer is going to be no. I've been trained that way. I don't deserve a good-looking woman in America. That's been communicated to me loud and clear. If she even took me up and was single and she told me she liked me, I'd be shocked. I'd probably cry. She's beautiful. And she's not beautiful like a sexual slut. She's gorgeous. Physically, she's a turn on. But I'm like, she truly is distinct. And I tell you what, hello, Danny. Wow, snapshot, that's fooked up. And you know what really pisses me off about American Democrats? They're bringing them clowns over here from those Muslim countries. And they're going to do the same damn thing that they're doing to London and Paris. And if it comes to that, y'all boys in your pickup trucks better be ready. Because if we let this shit continue and we don't stand up and we don't take it down to the streets and stop this crap, the Democrats will send this country down the shitter so fast. And I believe that. They're destructive to this country. We're not the ones that are violent. We're not the ones that are rioting and tearing shit up. The Democrats cause this every time. They like to point to January 6th. Folks, there were a lot of people involved in January 6th other than just Trump supporters. And there's some questions that need to be answered. Why did the police lead them into the Capitol? The police. You would think that they would have locked that down. They didn't. A blanket of trash, really. And Central Park was considered the lung of New York City. Even I read that years ago. The lung of New York City. The fresh air. The green. Yeah, I can't tell you how many movies I've seen. Home Alone. Central Park is in there. Even as a kid, I thought Central Park just looks awesome. If you have an apartment that faces Central Park, you're talking big money, baby, to view out your window that piece of real estate. I believe they even had a zoo in there, don't they? Folks, I know I've found love when a woman really accepts me and her only motive for me is love, not anything else. That woman will have more effect on me than anybody else. Ever. Because she believes in me. I came here to Georgia with an open heart. And I'm not going to talk shit about Georgia. Not going to do it. I think Georgia's got some good things going for it. I think as far as cities go, Augusta was probably not the best choice I could have made. But I felt led by God and I don't have any regrets for coming here. Just because this story doesn't end happily ever after doesn't mean that God didn't lead Michael here. And I battled in my mind. Did I say the wrong thing, God? Did I do this to myself? Did I lose my job because I opened my mouth and didn't shut my mouth? I've analyzed it. I've kicked it out to my friends, sent the letter and the video to several in the text message. I got the video back, by the way. The investigator for HR complaints, I asked him and he did send it to me. He screenshot it with his phone and videoed it and sent it to me, and I said, thank you. He cannot say it, but he did send me a letter. I'm sorry to hear this. That told me he didn't think I should have been fired for this at all. Because you know what? He knows what goes on in Richmond County. A lot of people know, but we've been bullied by woke and politics that nobody wants to lose their job. I didn't either. I wanted to just work and get out of there on my own. Now I've got no choice. I'm out. Done. I drive by that stupid place on my way to downtown. I do. I wish my channel would blow up and I'd become a millionaire. And I'll write a big poster board sign and literally prop it up by the gate as I'm going out in a moving truck saying, thanks for firing me. I'm a multimillionaire. I'm leaving now. Michael Nelson, and put hearts all over the damn thing. I think that'd be freaking awesome. But my life doesn't go that way. And I had to be reminded of something profound. I'm not sinless like Jesus. And it hit me. Jesus was crucified and he did not do anything wrong at all. I do things wrong. But Jesus was sinless and he went to the cross and took that abuse. Nails, spears, come on, man. Spikes in his wrists and legs. A crown of thorns jammed on his head, whipped with a cat of nine tails. My last job there was considered fuel tech or attendant. Now, why do they name this stuff dumb stuff? I'm not a fuel technician. I don't mix fuels. You pick up a pump and pump it. And that's not what my job was. I spent 99% of my time repairing vandalized buses. I tell you, I'm so sick of this political crap. When I worked at the Ford Truck Center, the comptroller HR lady said, "This is Mike, this is our lot technician." I looked at her and said, "Lot technician? Lot boy." I don't care if they call me a lot boy. That's what it's always been called. Call me the yard dog. I don't care. I like what I do. And I was the yard dog. I'm out there running the yard like a dog, moving trucks, changing batteries. I'm not offended by that. If I wash dishes, don't call me a ceramics engineer. I'm a dishwasher. So what? We changed names. The biggest thing that I saw that really angered me about our society and how fake we're getting is when you go to a car dealership now and they're called certified pre-owned. Used car. I would say I'm going to go buy a used truck. Some people look at that derogatory. I don't. I'm not going to buy a new truck. In fact, I take pride in buying a used truck. Okay? You go out there and you pay $80,000 for your Silverado. Be proud of that big old house payment on a truck. You want to look down on people and you want to call it a certified pre-owned. I bought me a used truck. Now, you want to pay $80,000 for a Silverado or under $10 for a used truck? You tell me. Which one's going to get the attention? Which one's going to get the stares? If for some reason we had a hurricane in the middle of my unemployment, we get another one of those and this town went to hell, I promise you that there'll be people coming up saying, "Mike, we will pay you. Can you use your truck?" I might be able to make a ton of money. Might not. They ain't going to be calling on the Silverados to help. Not with that crap. You know, it's just perspective, that's all. I have a heart, and my heart has been severely damaged by living here. And I will be honest. I am not racist. There are black women on my channel that I love, like, and adore. But as for me and my house, which just consists of me, in America, I don't want to live in a majority black community again. I'm done with it. And if people are offended by that, I don't give a care. Because none of those people cared about my feelings over there, and they happen to be mostly black. There's very few over there that care. And when you go through something like this, and the only time people call me from over there is when they want me to do a favor or something, you know, this has taught me a lot. I invested 6 years in those people. And that 2-page diatribe against me by a superintendent sums up my entire 6 years of faithful. Even my friend in New England said, "You worked your ass off to get that kind of a letter." He's pissed. He called them a-holes. I don't care if the superintendent got college and successful. She is the definition of a CUNT. And I don't like a lot of white women because of the damage they've done to me. And they can do this in the professional echelon. They can lie, they can cheat, they can steal, they can exaggerate. It's sad. And men are beat up in this culture. And I try to run this channel. I don't want the women on my channel feeling like I'm attacking them. I'm not. But there is a female element in the society that's disgusting. Just as there's a male element in white culture that's disgusting. And I will say it again. And she failed to hear the words of my video. As somebody who should be over an education system, you should be familiar with grammar. I said there's an element within this society of savages. She said I was taunting the black community. I have never taunted any community. I call it as it is. And she said people were offended. Good. May it be. Jesus offended people too. Master, know you not that people are offended at you? And you know, Jesus, in his own way, basically said, and think about it. Truth is truth. We got a liberal society that claims to tell the truth about me, but if I tell the truth about them, Mike, that's offensive, that's racist. No, it's truth. And you can't come back, you cannot come back with an intellectual rebuttal. You just stigmatize me by using the word racist, offensive, and painting a picture that I'm a monster. What is little hats? Vox, educate me, because I'm unfamiliar with that. And I don't like corporate America. HR, is this Michael Nelson? How are you today? That's what I call fake. If you are a professional, and I'm not by definition of the corporate world, but if I'm talking on the phone to Sniper and I know he's not doing good, I'm not going to call and say, hi Sniper, how are you today? I'm going to be more like, are you doing okay? Is everything okay? I'm more professional than HR is. If I got an employee whose livelihood's on the chopping block, and women are very good at this, it's a cruelty that exists within them. They like to pretend to be nice. That's their job, requires all that fakery. And they're going to, how are you today, Mr. Nelson? Well, we weren't able to... I'm so sick of all that. That is not professional, that is acting. That's a certain little elite club where you got all these little rules that, you know, exclude everybody. It's not professional. You character assassinated me. You're asking me how I'm doing every time I got to interact with. 20 days went by. My life's on hold, no letter. And the day you fired me, an entire week plus went away before I got the letter. More than a week. 9 days. You fired me, but we have no written thing, and in the system it showed me employed. I should have ran up and got my glasses and everything on my insurance. Stupid. Usually you get the letter, then you call the employee, you know, Richmond County, get it together. And I had a discussion with somebody at the flea market. He told me a place to apply. I said, they're not going to hire me at all. I don't know, they need people. I said, nope. I put this down and they make some calls. And there's a dispute about what an employer can say. They can say he's not eligible for rehire or they terminated. I'm told that they cannot state what the termination was over. Yeah, right. Then there's a part of me that says, don't put it down. Just say I took a sabbatical, worked at my house for 6 years. Well, then I'm lying. I spent 6 years. They have no complaint on my work ethic. Somebody said, but they need a CDL driver, and you're driving a piece of equipment by yourself. What should any of that have to do with that? Doesn't matter. Stigmatizing. We watched what the media has done. We watched what happened during George Floyd. We watched what happened during Rodney King. We watched what happened during Michael Brown. And the same thing arises. Little by little by little, the Democratic Party has used all of these a man's acting bad, disobeying the rules, gets shot by the police. The Democrats have used that to prove that there's systemic racism. So now in this workplace, no one wants to touch anybody that's being accused of being a racist. They don't want their business to burn to the ground, okay? So now, in the U.S., we're no longer on a quest for truth. We're no longer on a quest for dialogue and saying, well, I should be able to sit down in front of a panel of blacks and say, no, I don't agree with you. And you calling me racist just because you don't agree is not the way to win the argument. Prove me wrong intellectually. And you can't. So you stigmatize, you brand, you get that bar S thing and you stick it in the fire and you grab that cow and go, because it's easy and it's the lazy way out. The guy at the flea market, his brother, to somebody who used to drive a bus. I said, what did he have to say? He said, they did Mike dirty. He should get an attorney. The problem is, most of the attorneys are liberals. No one wants to get in the middle of something like this. You got to pick your battles, folks. If I knew I had a snowball's chance in hell of an attorney who took it pro bono and said, Mike, we can get this. If nothing more, her letter is ridiculous. When she said my video went viral, I asked Mom, what is viral? Does anybody know what viral is? Doesn't it have to be at least 1 million views? Does anybody know the answer to that? What is viral in terms of video? I believe that video didn't even make 1,000 views at 3 minutes short. What is viral, guys? Can you help me with that? Because I don't know the answer. But I know it did not go viral. Nothing of mine has gone viral. The biggest was 47,000 views Saturday a week ago. But that's not viral. I wouldn't even call it that. That's the size of a town in, say, Montana or Idaho or something. Or, you know, under 50,000. That's not viral. When I think of viral, I think something exploded. I mean, just went all over the place. Anybody know what viral is in terms of a viewpoint or video? Little Hats is a reference to the 1% of the world elite wealthy bankers who have swallowed and monopolized literally everything, media, corporate, energy, and even government. They are a tribalistic group of Jews who camouflage themselves under an umbrella of decency and project their own evils onto their victims, the public. Wow. Thank you for that answer, Vox. I'm talking away and I didn't even read it. You took the time to prepare it for me. Thank you and apologies. And when I say I defend Israel, I have not talked a lot. I've hinted at it. I know that there are wealthy Jews that are corrupt as hell. They're satanically infested. 100,000 views in 24 hours. More than 100,000 according to Google. It's usually when others share the video because it's interesting. Yeah, well, coworkers were passing it around at the bus transportation lot. They made it a point to come up to my partner down there. Did you see this? And they passed it around, spun it around. I mean, it was ridiculous. And I wish I was able to split my screen and pull up that video and play it alongside of this. That's when I wish I had bells and whistles, because I got it in my phone. It was given back to me from downtown. So you're right, Vox. George Soros, Mark Zuckerberg, the Rothschilds. Now the Rockefellers, they weren't Jewish, were they? Who's the other group? There's the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, but there's another group. They're corrupt as all get out. Man, Fred, you got me into something. Shoot, if I want to change the look, we can just do this. That's so funny. I gotta tighten it up because it keeps wanting to fall off. And I'm not closed-minded to that. I find it's interesting that The Bible does tell us, the church, to pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Paul says he wished he could be accursed and cut off. Now, I'm sorry. I'm too selfish. I don't want to go to hell for nobody. No offense. I don't love anybody that much where I want to consign myself to hell. That's eternal. And many people said that Paul was mad. I don't think so. But you have to look at Paul before he was saved. He was Dudley Do-Right, literally. And when he got saved, he took that element right into his Christian faith. He was consumed with Christ. None of us are. None of us watching are consumed with Christ that way. Only 2.4%? That's less than the 13% of blacks. I thought there was way more than that. And Vox, I know you're correct, so I have to couch and be careful what I say. When you start talking about the seat of corruption, they're going to squash my ass like a gnat. So, we talk about the tribulation. The Antichrist will make a peace treaty with Israel for 7 years. A covenant. And in the middle of that, he's going to break it. And the world is going to come after the Jewish people. Then the reason could be manifold. God is trying to reach the world with the gospel, including Israelis. But during the tribulation, I think a lot of people are going to be so conditioned and have their eyes open to see some of the crappy things that Jewish elites did, that they're going to all blame Israel for all of their woes. That could be a very likely scenario. And when I talk about Israel, that I support Israel, I don't support this corruption, George Soros. No, I don't. I mean, Hitler and Germany was awful to the Jews. Now we got Jews being awful to the rest of the world. Sadly. Sadly. Not all Jews. Yeah, branding. Branding. Oh, small hats. You're not talking about the yarmulkes, are you? And not all these Jews that are in the elite realm are part of orthodoxy. Let's distinguish that. At least I don't believe they are. George Soros and Zuckerberg and Rothschilds are not orthodox. And I get you, Vox. And you're the first person that's intelligently laid something out. I don't see it being anti-Semitic. I have no tolerance for anti-Semitism, and it is on the rise in American colleges. And I don't support that. But just like I talk about the blacks, I don't support racism against blacks. That girl in here, Ellie or Ellen or whatever, was going on and used the N-word. I'm like, that's it, out. Somebody starts telling racial Jew jokes, out. Somebody starts calling Hispanics nasty things, they're out. I don't support it. I better go. I got to get ready for church. If the internet doesn't go, or the phone doesn't go out today, the service, I'll be back. I want to thank everybody. And I want to thank everybody for showing up. And I want to thank those that support me with prayer. And support me in the context that you listen, that you're not an enemy. I don't expect everybody to agree with everything about me. If I'm doing that, then I have a Messiah complex. And I would tell anybody, do not listen to anybody with a Messiah complex. There's only one, and I'm not him. Michael is just unique. Sometimes I can be retarded. Sometimes I can be goofy. Sometimes I'm going to be dead ass serious. Most of the time, I believe my thinking is accurate. But my style, it may be bizarre. Don't let that trip you up, please. Do not. I have a lot within me, and I choose not to hide it. Thank you. I see, that'd be cool. I got to figure out how to do that. YouTube makes it hard, really hard. All right, folks, here we go. Y'all have a good day. Time to go to church. And yeah, but I think I have to be on while you do that. I mean, it's a trip. I don't even know how that works. But do I got to wear a suit and tie when I show up? Because I don't have one. All right, you too. You guys have a good day and be safe. And we will get back to you